being fun.
Yeah, well, it's quite hard as well because I think the first attempt I did, I practically well, every villager died.
Yay! Learning from
Mm.
failures.
Talking about
And then I
games you
start.
recently played.
Say again?
Sorry, talking about games you recently played.
Yeah, I've recently gotten a game called The Farthest Frontier.
Never heard of it. Is that right?
Hello, Jeff.
I think. Oh, Jeff, hello. Jeff.
Jeff. Oh my god, Jeff. Have you
Jeff?
become a mute?
Jeff.
No, I just had a mouthful of food.
Oh,
Hello, Jeff.
just as interesting. Oh, hello, Jeff. How are we?
My excitement is peaking.
I hope that's the only thing that's peaking.
Ha, ha, ha.
I was thinking of blood pressure, but
Yeah. Hold up.
Wait a minute.
Have they updated the health bars and stuff on?
No,
the,
I did. I just changed the colour a little bit. So you've got red health
Yeah.
because I've always associated health with that. You've got green AC because reasons. And you have blue temporary HP.
I would have thought blue was armor.
Shut up.
I find it really funny that as soon as I join, it's like, "Hello, Curbster," and as soon as Jeff joins, Jeff.
Well, trust me,
Oh, shut-
with how little
history.
with how little I've spoken with him over the years since we last played as part of his game, yeah, you're just gonna have to deal with
Yeah.
that fact. Hi, Muzzy.
Jeff's campaign was the first ever the first ever Roll20 campaign I ever played.
Wow. Was it good?
And yeah, it was good.
No, it wasn't. It was honestly.
No, it was shit,
Oh,
but don't tell him that. It was good.
It was good until it got shit. Okay, just
No,
accept it.
I look back at that thing all the time and just like,
Which
what
one?
was I doing?
Which one?
Honestly, both, but that first one for sure.
The one where I joined Mozzie as the camera.
Okay.
The
I mean,
Kenna
there were
twins.
there were a few issues before Connor joined, and but it's mostly like people related.
Mm.
That issue resolved itself.
Oh yes.
Yeah. No, but I mean, even after Connor joined, there was still like a minor people problem, but that solved itself once we stopped playing, I guess.
Well, I mean, yeah, a problem was solved.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, remember I told you guys I was really sick last week?
Yes.
You better.
Fucking COVID.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah. Still got
Yeah,
it,
no.
though.
oh.
Yeah, I just did a test. I'm still positive.
How are you feeling though?
I am annoyed. I'm feeling okay right now, but I'm annoyed because I was supposed
At least
to
you're
go
feeling
tomorrow.
positive while being positive.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, hope you get well soon.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling good. The thing is, I was supposed to go tomorrow to the airport to meet my girlfriend's mom, who's coming from Kazakhstan, but I can't.
Because the big
So it's
C.
annoying. Yeah.
It's not the big C.
No,
There's
it's
a
not.
big
I was
C.
waiting for someone to call me out on that.
It's a mild C.
It's the big Rona.
It's the inconvenience C, not the devastating C.
Inconvenience. That's a good name for it.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, inconvenience C. I don't even notice I did it.
I've got inconvenience C.
Yeah.
Okay, so fuckers. Firstly, Jeff, hello. Been a long time. Missed you. How are you?
I'm good.
Good chat. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm like eating.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I think this is my first time meeting you, Jeff. Hello, Jeff.
Hello. Jake, right?
Okay, how the hell did he know my first name?
Eh, eh,
No one
I
knows.
see it on
my
roll 20.
It's on your roll 20.
Oh my god!
Nobody will ever know my name. I'm a secret agent. Here's my ID card, by the way.
Oh my god! Everyone always
Yeah.
calls me by my last name. I freaked out a second, like, how did you
I
know my
love,
first
He
name?
has,
I love
he
how
has
you
my ID.
reacted, and I looked at the bottom of the screen like,
I wonder.
Uh,
Yeah. If your sheet doesn't already have inspiration on it, Jeff, put inspiration on it. I'm pretty sure I noted it in chat at some point, but I don't know if you were here or not when it was noted. But long story short, inspiration has 2 uses with these games. Have you heard about them?
I think I read something, but I don't remember really. For sure.
You can do it as it's normal, which normal air quotes for me is if you guys roll something, regardless if you do it before or after you know if it works or not, whatever the case, any d20, you can choose to re-roll it with advantage. Regardless of what situation you're in where you've got super disadvantage, for example, it's with advantage no matter what. Or
Wait. You said re-roll with like the re-roll would have advantage, or just it's like the advantage?
nope, it's an entirely new roll, pretty much. You ignore every other rule going on. You ignore my bullshit. You ignore everyone else's bullshit. If you roll like a natural 1 with, even with like disadvantage, and the other roll was a 14, and obviously you don't want to take a 1, you can say you use your inspiration. So you roll an entirely new set of dice with advantage. Doesn't matter if you have disadvantage or advantage or otherwise. You will roll a new set of rolls with advantage.
Okay, cool.
The other one is you can always expend the inspiration to ask a question of me specifically, not of another character or another person, because I mean that kind of adds up to the same really. With the equivalent to a normal DC 15. It will use the collective party knowledge, the pool of knowledge you all have, and I will give you an answer based on that DC. So, for example, if you guys are like stuck on a puzzle or something, you could spend your inspiration, and I would just be like, it's that, do that thing, do that thing. But if it's a system that's too complicated, obviously I'll point you in the right direction, but that's about it.
So it's a free 15, basically.
Yeah. But in a question. So other than that, long story short, from next week we will be doing recaps now that everybody is here, but I will do the first one. Not to mention it was very quick and easy, save everybody some time because you all have inspiration. Last week was the opening scenes with Varnix being mistaken for something called a dragon head, as he met a bunch of kobolds who very quickly kowtowed and let him be on his way. I'm gonna get used to names. That's gonna be fun again. Carrick or Adir Konaru washed up ashore and kind of just had to find his own way around very quickly after being woken up with sand in places that you would normally hope it wouldn't be. He spotted a massive flying blue creature of some kind that seemed to emit small electrical currents. He quickly headed for the bushes and hid as the thing flew overhead and flew into the distance. He learned very quickly this place is probably deadly and got himself ready. Meanwhile though, Sol, or Adir Mozimos, was in the middle of a little investigation. He was moving up towards a cave entrance toward a place he'd heard about and kind of wanted to inspect. Noticing there was a figure blocking the way, he tried manners of trickery to distract him, and it was working, but before he could actually have any real chance of getting anywhere, a poor Carrick made his way up. made himself known somewhat, sort of engaged a little with the bugbear, though it had a very poor time understanding Carrick and vice versa, as there was a language barrier. They interacted comfortably, surprisingly. Nobody was hurt, no fighting happened. It was very weird. Carrick's eyes caught Sol's, but nothing really became of that. As Carrick walked away on the request of the bugbear, because he is guarding a station of some kind, as he walked away, he encountered Varnix striding up toward that same place. And Varnix and Carrick both kind of talked for a little bit, as Sol came running around to try and get their attention. They were busy talking, started kind of moving a little closer, until eventually the three of them got close enough to communicate without any notice. By the time they'd finished talking, they'd noticed the bugbear, after having a small fight with a goblin that had come out of the cave as well, had disappeared back inside the cave. As you guys noticed that, you hid and crawled up the side of the wall beside the cave entrance, and that's kind of where we left. But I'm gonna go ahead and steal Jeff into secrets for a moment, because you fuckers are nowhere near him. Okay, bye. Hi, we're nowhere near the music now, which is a shame, but hi. So you, as of current, are inside the same cavernous system, for the sake of spoilers, that they're about to be in. You've managed to sneak your way through with quite a bit of ease. It doesn't really seem like anyone's really guarding the tunnels. There is signs of life of other people coming through here. You can see they've placed torches embedded into the walls, and some of them are still very well lit, whereas others are just dying out slowly. There looks to be these carvings in the wall in... Actually, what languages can you speak?
Let me look. Abyssal, Common, obviously Druidic, Elvish, Sylvan.
Ooh, so many languages. It's unfamiliar to you, though it looks like it's been written poorly in almost like a scrawled hand, which, even if you knew the language, doesn't look like it would be very easy to determine anyway. But a lot of it looks kind of like it's the same general sentences, so maybe some kind of warning or something of the sort. And as you continue through the system, it starts to spiral out a little bit. There are a few paths that move along, but as you try to go through some of them, there's usually a blockade of rocks that seem to have tumbled down, and you notice very quickly that it's some kind of mining system, and a lot of which has just completely caved in. Eventually you follow a path and you come across one of two, and you start to hear the sounds of what you believe to be goblins, as they have like very scratchy like tones, and you hear them making a big noise in the distance coming from the left. As of the minute, there's two paths, forked, one to the left and one to the right. You can't see the end of the one to the right, but the one to the left, you can see there seems to be another torch at the end of it before it dips to the left, and you do hear the voices coming from that direction, though they sound like they're echoing quite hard along the walls. What do you do?
Sorry, I got guys mowing right outside the window.
No, that's fine.
Now the voices are the voices are they the goblinoid sounding ones, or?
Yeah, it sounds like they're kind of like echoing really hard off of the walls through the cave.
Well, I will just very quickly cast Passive Trace on myself.
Ooh, hell yes. Okay.
And roll stealth and start creeping forward.
In before 24, go.
Yeah. So add 10 to this. Actually, while this
Oh!
is going on,
I was joking, but holy fuck.
let me add a pass without a trace plus 10 because yeah. So I will pass without a trace.
Yep.
Kind of as I kind of describe a little bit as I step. It's almost like little bits of moss kind of form right before my feet touch the ground to muffle the sound as I creep forward.
I don't know why. I know it doesn't, but for a second my brain was stuck on thinking of moss as leaves, and I was thinking, oh, that crinkling sound would be great. But yeah, no, it's like moss.
The very soft green moss, yeah.
Like, where the fuck am I going? So as you start to step very slowly, at some point you notice your steps are so silent that if you picked up pace even a slight bit, the sound is still so muffled, even in this cave that seems to pick up sound very well. You go to the end, you look around the corner, and you see this small opened out area of about 20 by 20. There's a couple of curves along the roof. This place has been hollowed out a bit further recently. You can see two goblins at the furthest right of the room itself, and there is a direct opening dead ahead of you. The room itself seems to be some small area where they've collected what looks to be like large chunks of dirt and earth for some reason. There's like a mound of it to your left, immediate left, and then there's a whole bunch of it just like strewn out all across the place. As you look out toward where the goblins are, you kind of take a small peek, and you see one of them's got a shovel and is like leaning, and the other one's just kind of like pointing at him, and they kind of just talk very aggressively back and forth, and they've both got like really heavily furrowed brows. They're not very well dressed either. They are very much like Tarzan in the jungle, like leaves for a dress around their vital areas.
Now, I assume they're speaking in Goblin, which I can't.
Well, yeah.
So I'm assuming they're speaking in a language I can't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's just a lot of like scratchy noises.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's just those. How many did you say? It was two.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do I see anything? Like, do I see where they're getting this mound of dirt that they're just kind of building up? Is there like a hole or anything they're digging out?
You can see as you look down, the ground itself is like a solid rock. The mountain itself is mostly, far as you can tell anyway, it is just all rock or stone. So you're pretty sure it's not here. As you look over to where they are, you kind of take a small glance. You see that there is a portion of the ground where they are that has been hollowed out, and there's some kind of like dusty wrapped thing bound in cloth that's been just put into the earth. You assume they've been collecting it from somewhere outside maybe and bringing it here to bury their dead. It's, as of the moment, the best you can figure.
Okay. How far away is that?
It's exactly 20. From you at the moment, it's 15 feet. Sorry.
Okay. Looking around the room, is there a way to kind of get around and kind of out of this area or wherever I am?
There is another doorway that's exactly from the doorway you're at the moment. It's 15 feet ahead of you, and you can see that it's very dark in that space. You can see what looks to be like these wooden boards or panels that are holding up the roof. Leads to possibly a mine shaft of some kind. You can see what looks to be like these very old like rails almost.
I'm gonna try to make my way over there, but before I start moving, I'm gonna like, is like a little rock or something I can pick up and throw to another side of the room to try to get the goblins' attention away from what I might be doing.
Oh yeah, easily. Though if I must be honest, with how distracted they look, you could probably rush over very quickly. But there is a couple of like small rocks. You can just quickly pick up a few.
Yeah, even with the distraction, with the how focused they are on other things, I think I'll still do it just a little extra. Help. And then yeah, I'll probably rush over to that other door.
Okay. So as you poke your head out, you keep watch them. You very quickly get into a light dash and just chuck the rocks onto the furthest right side as you can get. And as they kind of start to clatter a little bit, as you start running, you notice you're just outside of their view as you reach the doorway. And as the rocks clatter, they look over, very confused. As you reach the doorway, you see that they're kind of making motions over toward it, and one of them holds up the shovel and is kind of making a smacking motion. But you get over toward the doorway, nice and safe.
Okay. You don't need me roll a stealth check again, or I'm just good to get over there.
Do another one for the sake of my curiosity.
Okay.
Oh, bitch. Oh, it's so good. Holy fuck. Yeah, no, they ain't gonna. I don't think they could actually roll good enough to ever get 28.
That's high enough.
Like, you become one with the shadow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. With that, I'll kind of go through this little doorway and try to. As I'm doing that, I want to look back to see if they are going over toward that sound or whatever they're doing. Just a quick glance before I continue on.
Yeah. So as you wander through, and you quickly poke your head around to look at them, you notice as they're walking over, they're kind of looking around. They stand in place for a moment, looking around, up, and then they look at the ceiling, and you notice then they look at each other, and they start talking to each other again. And they're making a lot of, like, generally confused gestures, like, where the hell? Is it in the ceiling? And then for a moment, you see them, they kind of like point at the ground and make kind of digging motions with their hands to say possibly like moles or something. And then it just holds the shovel and just kind of looks around toward the area you threw the rocks. Needless to say, they've no clue.
Then I will continue on.
Okay, so I'm going to check what those fuckers are doing. Let's go and have a look.
Stay in here, or do you want me to go back up?
Oh no, we'll go back up. Get to enjoy the chaos. Hi. Hi. So, as you guys are currently still there, you notice no one has come back out from the cave for a good minute since you've been up there. What do you want to do?
I'm just Carrick's just going to look at Sol and just sort of like stand behind him and just be like, so what are we doing again?
I don't remember. You know, the last few minutes of the last session were like blah.
Sort of fever dream. I think long story short, you guys were saying that with the combined knowledge you had, you were going to go in, scout out, check the place out, and then when you were satisfied enough to know what's here, you would come back out. But with each of you there, you'd have a better chance if something did attack you. So you were going to go inside and just kind of go from there.
Okay. So, I think we should sneak in.
Are we sneaking in? Because, sorry, Mozzie, your character's name is Sol, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Sol and Varnex were part of the Great Expedition, and there are more coming. Is that right? They're on their way.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it probably make sense to wait for the others to arrive?
Yeah, but then I gave the very compelling argument of where's your sense of adventure?
True.
Carrick's just gonna turn around and just look and just be like, "This got a
Yeah, fuck it, fine.
I think that was the exact same sentiment last time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Right. Lead the way, soul.
I'm squishy. Look at me and look at you. You're much bigger than me.
Well, you've already been inside, so you're more familiar with the
I
layout.
wasn't inside. That's
He was
where
trying
you're
to get
wrong.
inside.
You clearly know more than me.
That's what she said.
Carrick just passes through. How far is the drop down?
It's a, if I remember rightly, it was a 10-foot.
No, it was 10 foot from here to here. But
That's the
from here
beach.
to here,
So from down it would be, yeah, barely 5 foot. You can just drop.
Yeah. I just drop to this point and be like, oh, if you don't want to lead, guess I will. You just need to tell me what's up ahead.
He's blind because he's a human.
No, I got dark vision, remember?
He's not blind. He meant something else.
I just meant in general because he's been in there before.
He hasn't.
You haven't.
Which Carrick would just turn around and be like, wait, you have been in this cave before, right? Or have you just been standing around it doing nothing this entire time?
hey, I got here 5 minutes before you two showed up.
This
Literally
music is
5.
very appropriate for this right now, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what's inside. Absolutely
Oh.
no idea.
That's kind of disappointing.
A small adjustment to that. You would at the very least know that the Arjunum Horde have made this place a base of sorts. So at the very least you guys know there's the Orc tribe floating around here. Specifically beyond that, not a clue.
I'm gonna roll for stealth anyway.
Okay. I assume the rest of you will be doing the same.
Yes.
I do like that it does that. It's so good.
Fuck.
Oh no.
Wow. Just wow.
So we'll go with the assumption that Varnex is doing a stealth check as well. As you guys start moving through the cave's entrance, you notice it's a very wide corridor to start with. There are sparing torches across the walls. It's a good 15-foot width, so you have plenty of room to walk through. As you're walking, hello, stealth check please. As you guys are walking through, you're kind of getting a bit closer to the walls or to the ground or whatever you need to do to be as invisible as you can in this wide corridor. And as you're moving through, you suddenly hear the sound of ting, tung, tung, something clattering on the ground, and a few little tools of Sol's trade have fallen out of his bag, and you kind of just look down, and then you look back at them with that kind of look.
Really?
Look at him open mouth like, what?
And you very quickly pick up your stuff again and pack it away back in your bag. And you guys notice that the sound carried very well, and it's kind of reverberating along the what we'll call corridor for now. You guys at the moment, even with 60 foot of vision and some torches lighting the way for a good sparse 5 to 7 feet, it goes on for more than 60 foot. And as you're moving through, eventually you hear the sounds. Just check my own privilege here. Hold on.
Could we probably hide just behind the wall here or to the sides? If it looks like something's... If we hear that something's coming.
Also, what are you doing with your
Can
raptor?
even climb up.
Are you leaving?
Oh, my...
Did you say last session that you were just gonna send your raptor sort of around this bit to patrol just to see in case anyone else comes over?
No, I imagine I'd probably slap it away to draw attention somewhere else. Send it away.
What are you doing with it for the time being?
Well, right now it's just a thing I found in the wild,
Hmm.
so I also have no need of it.
So you're just gonna basically release it?
That was my intention, yeah.
Okay. So,
And you said this wall was like a 20-foot drop or something.
no. This one's a 5 foot, and to be fair, you guys are already in the cave. That doesn't matter anymore. Inside the cave, the walls themselves, the roof goes up to about 15 feet as well. There's quite a bit of space in the corridor, 15 feet in width, and it's mostly brittle. As you guys are walking through, it has been mined out by the looks of it. There are still like indents of, like, in small places, shovels, pickaxes for the most part.
We can't hear anything coming, can we? Since
No.
Sol dropped his tools, so we're good. All right.
Seems so.
All right.
The only thing you guys hear is the sound of a sudden gust of wind coming your way. There's nothing else that really like triggers a sudden need for a response.
Okay.
So as you keep continuing forward, what languages can you three speak?
Me, Draconic and Common.
Muzzy?
What languages?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Common, Ignorant, Dwarvish, Draconic.
Let me just check. I think. Trying to find something and I can't. It's really bothering me now. We'll wait for Connor to get back as well.
I'm back.
Oh, speaking of the devil.
Oh.
He's Beetlejuice. You call his name.
Pretty much.
Just don't say it 3 times.
Connor. And that's it.
I get bigger.
And then you deflate because you didn't say it the 3rd time.
Right.
Yeah, Connor, what languages?
Check. Right. Where is it? Ah, here we are. There you go.
Nice. Okay, finally got my thing. Okay. So, as the 3 of you start to wander through the cave up to... I've got to update your dark vision, by the way, Connor. As
You update my what now?
your dark vision. As you guys are wandering through the tunnel, you get to a very suddenly narrower passage that goes down about 10 feet or so, and the roofing of it gets very, very short to barely 6 foot in height. And as some of you maybe begin to like lower yourselves down a little to fit through, you guys start to hear the sound of something in the back of your heads. Let me just double check a thing. Cool. Who can speak Ignan? Was that Sol?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So, for Varnix and Carrick, you two hear what sounds like just white noise almost, that every now and again forms a single word that loosely sounds familiar, but there's no real context for any of it. For you, Sol, however, as you guys are walking down these stairs, you have this small, like, sting, this pain in the back of your head, and you kind of wince for a second as you get the stack as well, but then you hear, "If only there was another. Soon I might be freed. But they're coming back. That orc in the gem. If only I could shatter the gem, I could be freed."
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, where's my notes?
Would you like a handout?
I would like a handout and also a place to write some notes.
So a handout.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so that's
Yeah, boy.
the name. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. It is now in the party. Would anybody else like a handout for notes?
Yes, please. I would.
Yes. Okay, so
Is this for notes?
yeah, boy.
I always write my notes by hand. Oh my book.
There's your one, Jeff. And if it loads, there we go. Connor, yours is also incoming.
Nice.
Done.
I mainly
So-
depend on memory, but I basically do like to write some keywords in it sometimes.
What did it say again? If only there was another. If there was another, I could break the crystal.
He could be free, and
I can be free.
yeah, and
Uh,
if only he could break the gem.
If only I could break the.
Pardon me.
Bless you.
Well, it was a burp, so trust me, there's no blessing that.
We said the same thing in Hebrew.
So yeah, as you guys continue on, it's
Of course, I'm going to tell them about it, and
oh yes.
Yeah.
So he tells you guys that, and obviously you're hearing white noise, so it's interesting. What are you guys doing?
My head out of the confusion of the idea of that, but at the same time, still be like, I suppose that kind of adds up.
Has Sol told us the translation of what happened?
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
Alright, what language was it again?
ignorant.
Ignore.
Yeah.
So, from Vonnex, like, would I know what species would typically speak that language?
To be honest, pretty much everything on this island, it's their version of common for the most part. So
Oh, okay.
what you heard, or what he heard, was essentially, yeah, just common.
So, something is trapped in this place?
Mm-hmm.
From perspective, does this place look like a temple of sorts?
As you guys are moving down, it gives you the vibes of some kind of refurbished mine. Because at the moment the walls are all still ramshackle. They've been broken into. There's like small cracks in the wall. There's large holes here and there. But they've put stairs in for you to get down these steps. They've moved torches in to light the way. They've cleared some bits of the path so that they can actually move things in and out if they need to. There are what look to be writings on the wall as you're moving down these steps, but they're in a language none of you seem to register. They look like kind of almost like caveman scrolls as well. They're very badly written.
Alright. Since, from what Sol has told us, some kind of entity or being is trapped within a gem, and this is a mine, and mines are dedicated to excavating gemstones. Maybe whoever built these mines, their sole purpose was to excavate said thing?
Maybe?
Could be.
Could there be signs of like a cult of sorts, cultists or religion thing, like dedicated to scientists to escape this thing?
Looking,
Would I know that?
looking at the scrolls on the wall, you could interpret it like that. You can make a religion check if you want.
Religion check, okay.
Varnex too, because you were curious about it.
That's 0.
Plus a 0, a natural 20.
Wow.
I am religious as fuck.
So it's unfortunate because it is just text, though it looks more like it's maybe some kind of memorabilia of some kind, a memory of the dead. A lot of the text seems to have very little in the lining of it. There'll be like one very small line of text along one part of the wall, then a little beneath that and to the right there's another small line of text. It seems like they're marking possibly the dead or great heroes or something like that. For the sake of a 20 at the very least, it's not ritualistic, but as you guys do continue down toward the end, there's an open space and there's what looks to be these wooden planks that are maintaining the roof in the next area, and you notice scrawled into the ground what looks to be some kind of very old runic symbol. It looks like it's been long since just left and people have scuffed it over and everything, but with the check that you have, it is a more traditional form of magic casting that uses runes and natural energies and typically more likely material components like gems, for example. They
Alright,
would
since...
oh,
Oh, sorry.
they would sit on the ritual area surrounded by the rune, use the material, use some of their own life force if need be, and cast powerful spells outside of their ken. That's pretty much all I was going to say, but carry on.
Since it appears to look as though it involves magic casting, I point this out to Sol, since I know he has some experience in casting magic from the last session.
Mm-hmm.
Was I?
Yeah.
I inform you what I just heard.
Yeah. Sorry.
He's just busy dying, it's fine.
Off
On the
the
mild
lung.
league.
Yeah, you got cut off for a second. What did you say?
Since what I just learned is somewhat involved with magic, I relay that to you since I know you can cast magic.
Okay.
Because I haven't seen
Ye-
Kara cast anything magic, so I know your magic, so I just relay that to you. Maybe you can glean some more information from it.
I was about to make it slightly easier and do this.
Can I make an arcana thingy
So
or something?
you three are there. Enjoy that.
Can I make an arcana check or something?
Yeah.
Anything? It's magical, right?
Magic, am I right, guys? Looking at it, it has been left to decay. There's pieces of the runic writing that's been like stepped on. Anything that could be considered a rune is gone from this marking. If you knew what the runic writing, what the end result looked like, you could recreate it. But you don't know what spell or what mantra, what verbal, or even what component they were using for this sigil. So all you can tell at the moment is it's probably inert.
Would I be able to have a quick inspection of it?
Are you proficient in Arcana?
Proficient in Arcana? No.
Then make a general intelligence.
A general intelligence. Okay.
No. It is scrawling on the ground that probably looked okay.
Fair enough. I just gotta look at it and just shrug.
So, While you guys are wandering in, there is another fella that is currently exploring a cave. So, Jeff, can you see yourself?
Yes, I can.
Nice. What would you like to do? We're still using your fantastic 28 stealth, by the way.
Okay. Well, I mean, how long has it been since I cast Pass Without a Trace?
Oh, it would nary have been a minute.
Okay, so can hold concentration on that for an hour. So
Nice.
I will.
Explores the entire cave and no one ever sees him.
Yeah, exactly. Standing here, I see several. What look to be several passages going in different directions. I'm gonna kind of step up a little bit. I want to try to listen to see if there's any noise coming from any direction. Try to guess how far, if any, and which passageway it seems to be coming from.
As you step a little further inside, and still being very, very sneaky, you start to listen in as you stand still for a moment. Make a perception check. Oof, bitch. This better not be the entire game, because my god, I'm going to find it very difficult to kill you if that's the case.
I think my health isn't great, so I'm just
True.
rolling well for now.
I think we just spoiled that there's going to be combat.
No. Though you do hear the sounds of something being dragged from over in this direction, though the sound is audible from both sides, so you assume it kind of leads to the same place.
Kind of a circular type of thing. Okay.
You can hear something with possibly a lot of armor being pulled across the floor. You hear kind of like clattering of plates being maneuvered. And then you just hear and then you hear the sound of something very metallic being hit with force, and then you just hear what do?
Yeah, I'm going to start moving my way, kind of press myself against the wall. My steps still muffled by the little moss that grows underneath of them.
Mhm.
Quickly run to this side, hug the wall, kind of try to get a good. If I need to re-roll stealth, let me know.
No, you're
As long as
perfectly
I
fine
can
at the
do
moment. So as you take a look around, you see that there, of course, is a bugbear and a goblin. Currently, the bugbear has the shoulders of what looks to be someone in like full plate. There is a holster on their side. There is a quiver on their back. They look to be some kind of an adventurer, maybe. The goblin is currently trying to hold on to one of the legs and pick it up. You notice that there is a dagger that's currently jammed in around where the face is. A very small one too. And there's a lot of blood that's staining the armor now. And the bugbear seems to have no injuries on him. The goblin, however, looks like he's got this massive bruise just beneath his eye. And they're currently like dragging the body. And as they get to this point, the bugbear moves forward, pulls out a small key, puts it in the lock of this, what's a very simple like slab of a wooden door, but he puts the key in, opens it up, pushes it open with his foot, and then as they start to drag the thing, hello.
Before they disappear out of my view, do I notice any like tattoos or markings on either the bugbear, the goblin, or like the adventurer's gear?
On the adventurer's gear, you see the symbol of what looks to be a panther with its teeth very on display, and behind that is what looks to be two fires flaring from the left and right of its neck.
I will let them continue to drag that body.
Mhm.
And I'm probably gonna try to. If they don't shut the door, I'm gonna try to sneak up and kind of follow them quietly a little, at least for a little bit.
Mhm. So as they start to wander up, you notice they kind of just go straight. The door itself is still like hanging open. It's slowly, with little bits of wind coming through, closing toward you.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to move quickly and sneak in here very quickly before the door does close on me.
Notice as they get to this point, he seems to just straight push the next door open. And as he pushes that open, you know, he kind of like does this small boot, and then they start walking forward. Then you see this door, as it's pushed open, it stays open for the most part. It does maneuver just a little bit to hinder a slight bit of view, but not by much. And as he gets to this point, he starts speaking. I believe you notice, you notice another figure in the room. This one you can only see from the back, so at the minute all you can see is a dark, very more so closer to black cloak, over a dark green but more black cloak over its back. And there is this slight wafting scent of like herbs and flowers, and a slight stink of blood as well. This creature with its back to you, you notice as it's making motions in the air. You then look just a little bit beyond that, and you make out what looks to be this kind of glowing something in the distance. You can't exactly make out what. It doesn't weirdly seem to give off light of its own, but it's some kind of wall of energy of some kind, and he's making motions toward it. There's a single red gem that's embedded into the ground in front of it, and when they make these motions, every now and again you'll see these small tinges of colourful light moving towards the gem. And the bugbear just starts talking toward it. You see as the creature here slowly turns around, looks back, half of the face reveals, and you can see an orc with what looks to be everything from just above its nose is coloured in a much greener tint than its own flesh. As it turns back fully, it points toward the bugbear and motions toward the water. They very quickly give a small nod. The goblin starts to say something. They move to the side and throw the body into the water. You hear as the body splashes very hard into the water, and you notice as they both kind of look down with a bit of curiosity, and a couple of seconds go by. From where you are at the moment, you don't see what happens, but you hear the sound of something slightly big jump out of the water and then land with a great crash back into the water. And then the bugbear and the goblin move up, and they stand beside the orc as he starts to address them. So, as you see all that going on, is there anything you would like to do?
This guy definitely. Oh, jeez, I'm on that. This guy right here definitely is a orc by the looks of it, right?
Mm-hmm. From the look of his face, the physicality is a bit deceptive, because he's not the generic muscular type, though he is slightly more built. He stands a little bit taller, just a little less taller than the bugbear, but he clearly has some kind of authority at the very least.
Yeah, I'm gonna slip back out the other way. Did this door close in that time? Am I gonna have to reopen it?
Yeah, it would have to be opened.
Um,
So as you get up to it, kind of just look back, you start to push it very gently. It doesn't squeak, it doesn't eek, it doesn't make a noise. As you push it enough to slip through, you do get out no problem. You notice there is another door here. Yes.
I will go up there and try to open this next door as quietly as possible.
Make a sleight of hand check, but use your +10 on top of it.
Okay.
While you're doing that.
Have to ask me.
Oh, he's back. Cool. Oh, that is so lucky. So you three, as you walk down the steps, you can see the old inert runic circle. What do you do?
I'm continuing carefully while checking for traps.
Make an investigation or perception check. As well as you start to... Oh. To be fair, this will help. As you get toward the steps, you are just in front of the beam, and as you begin to look for traps, all of a sudden you hear this massive splash of water from inside the cave ahead of you. You're not sure if it sounds close because the cave is carrying sound very well, or if it's because it was from something massive. But either way, it distracts you while you're trying to search, and you lose track of what you're doing.
Fun. So
Sorry,
that
you go
ex-
ahead.
Yeah, so that explains it. Okay, so should we keep going quietly?
I remember Carrick saying he had dark vision. Did he say this out loud to us or just to you, the DM?
What would
Just a DM.
There you go.
Are you assuming that I don't have that vision?
You legit said, I'm just asking if he said it to us or just the DM.
Oh, just mainly the DM.
So, I wouldn't know. So I guess we just keep continuing.
Mhm.
Because if Onyx would know, I would probably suggest that Carrick be a bit ahead so that we can see more. But I'd continue the way we are now.
Okay then. I'm gonna keep going.
Connor, your token will be fuck you for a second. Give me a moment.
Okay.
Do me a favour and try and move it any direction. Nice. Not that far, but okay.
Yeah. Right.
So, yeah. As you guys get to this point, let me just double check visions and shit. So Sol, with your current vision, you can see off in the distance what looks to be at least from what you can tell, the same bugbear that you saw outside. And he's currently stood talking to someone. You also get a slightly intense pain in the back of your head. Just for a second, and then it disappears. Carry on.
Well, I see someone talking over there. Do you guys want to check it out, or should we keep going?
Would be an idea to just see where they move.
Right, from where I'm standing, I can see 3 figures up here. I would probably relay that to the others and suggest that we be careful and try and approach stealthily.
Okay, so we're going to keep going, I guess.
Lee, at the moment,
Mhm.
are there 2 paths in front of us, one up here and one down here? Or is it one big open space? Because from my dark vision, sorry,
Yeah.
from what I'm looking here, is all dark here for me,
Oh, I know.
but I can see here.
That's because down there's torchlight.
Oh, alright.
You are currently in a very dark dungeon.
So I can't tell if it's one big open space or there are two conversion paths,
Not a
one
clue.
up and down.
You can ask your companions who seem to be adapting to it. Or you can light a torch, which is a risky
I'll-
maneuver, of course.
I'll trust their judgment. I wouldn't light a torch,
Mhm.
because if I do, they'll clearly see us.
Mhm.
So I'll see how things go.
Okay. Well, for the rest of this isn't a combat initiative, but can everyone roll a combat? Roll an initiative, please.
You just said roll combat.
Yeah, I know, I got distracted with my own words. Just so from here, because the combat could ensue, and because we have Jeff wandering around too, everybody can get a decent turn.
Oh, do I have to roll again because I didn't select my character?
Yes, I will just change it to a 20. Nice. So, boop. Okay, so since you guys have already been manoeuvring a little bit, Jeff.
Did you see the message I just sent you?
Yes.
So yeah, I opened that door.
Okay.
It's provided it's openable.
So you push at it very gently, and you see as it starts to slide open, you take a peek inside. You can't see anything at the moment. You see little bits of what look to be like stone and broken pottery over here.
I will continue. It's very. Oh well, there's that.
You see a goblin sat in the corner on top of what's more or less a full mound of gold, silver, and more specifically what looks to be a single gem. It's a very hefty one. It's just about big enough to hold in both hands.
Has he noticed me yet?
Nope, not with your stuff.
I'm going to come up this way, and I'm very quickly going to cast Chill Touch on him. Let's see if this works.
Ooh, if that was a 20. So, actually, to be fair, you'd have advantage because I mean, it doesn't fucking know you're there. So.
I'm sorry I'm rolling so much.
I know, it's absurd. Why? Why, Jeff? Why? So, as you wander closer, you slowly maneuver your hand forward, and the Chill Touch, how would you like it to look?
Yeah, so as I kind of cast it out, there's just like little flakes, like little particles that kind of emit from my hand. Similar to like if you've seen Stranger Things, the particles that come out of the upside down, and as they reach and settle on him, his skin begins to fungus begins to kind of grow on it and necrotize the flesh as it begins to eat away at the at wherever it settles on him. I don't know if it kills him or not.
It does not. So, as it gently
Nice.
flutters over, and it lands along his back, you see for a minute as he does kind of like do this small reaction. He kind of like shuffles his shoulders a little, and then he starts checking out the coins, and then it starts to burn and destroy the flesh. And then he just freaks the fuck out, throws coins all around the place, quickly spins around as if he, not exactly knowing where it's coming from, but he's trying to like pat at his back, and then he sees you, and just as he's about to make this screech, you have one last action. What would you like to do?
I have one last action.
One last action before initiative with him is technically counted. Surprise
so like a full
round.
action, not like a bonus action. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Shoot. Yeah, yeah, seeing that, I'm just going to quickly try to cast it again. Hopefully, knock him out before you can. Oh my gosh, it's terrible.
So, as it flutters, as you quickly kind of like this time thrust your hand forward and it fires at him, it starts to settle on his face and arms, and as he starts to, it's kind of like a burning sensation he's reacting to almost. He drops to his knees and you hear the sounds of the coins kind of clatter, and he starts to like roll around on the ground and is like clawing at himself. Still alive with 1 HP.
Oh my god. Okay.
So
Well. Yeah, I guess that's me.
let's see. So for this, let me put him in the initiative and see what he can get to do. Do. Bippity boppity. You got a 9.
Beefy goblin, but slow goblin. I'm cool with that.
So, do. Varnex, what would you like to do?
Alright, this is going to sound a bit meta,
Mhm.
but would Varnos have heard all the gold coins being sprayed all over?
Oh, God, no. No.
Oh, so that's quite far.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so right now, with the group that I'm with, I'd probably suggest like we be a bit cautious and stealthy. So I'd probably approach a bit more along this area.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now I can't see in the area, so I'll probably edge a bit closer down there. So a bit boop boop. A bit closer. So it's again, still want to stay as stealthy as we can and explore more of the area.
Mm-hmm.
How far can I go? 40 foot. So right now this would be the farthest I could go.
Monks, man.
I'd probably be a bit slow and cautious.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd probably go up to here. As I try and edge along. And I'd probably say that's my turn, because right now we're not in combat.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm trying to be careful.
Okay. I will note as well, because you guys are on top of each other in the initiative, if someone wanted to go before someone else or after, that's all up to you. If there's anyone in between you and the initiative that's not part of the party, different story. Mosey.
Okay. Okay. So what was the trick you showed us on TikTok
Oh, hold on.
about moving and right click?
Yeah, there was a
Oh, for the
thing.
measure?
Yeah.
Movement measure,
So-
yeah.
Yeah, while you're moving your token, if you tap right click, it'll measure as you move.
Oh, yeah, I see. Okay.
And then if you tap right, every subsequent tap of right click,
Connor?
will put a point in it so you can bend.
Yeah, okay. I
Connor?
think I'm gonna do this. Oh.
Connor, what the fuck are you
Hi.
doing? Why are you out of the map, and why was it so easy?
Now it's not me.
I'm watching you, mister. Look at him, sitting in the corner, being
They
quiet.
will find all the holes in your map.
That's the secret. It's a giant hole. And you'll fall into it and die. Okay, is that your turn, Lizzie?
Yeah.
Okay.
It kind of moved me outside the map. I right click, I held and right click, then it just moved my token all over the place, and then it just spawned me outside the map, and I'm like, the hell?
I have glitched it. As you get to
I was
this,
panicking though.
as you get to this point, Muzzy, you do notice the surface just ahead of you is quite literally some kind of dusty sandy-like texture, but it's solidified. There are scatterings of what look to be actual sand, but beyond that, you can just about make out the two like giant eye holes. Some kind of massive skull is just beneath you. So, Carrick.
Yeah, I've got 30 to go on. Okay. Yeah, I'm not doing that right click thing, it scares me. And yeah, now I'll catch up to the others. And yeah, that'll be me.
Okie dokie. So, as you two get there, you notice these three finish some kind of conversation, and the goblin stays there, but the bugbear starts to move off. For those of you, actually, to be fair, you can all see it. I don't know what I'm talking about. You guys notice that the bugbear has a very furrowed brow, and you can see that he's muttering under his breath in some kind of irritants as he just kind of maneuvers himself away. Time for the goblin!
He's gonna scream.
The goblin very quickly, like while flailing, notices the pain stops and turns back at you, rears his hands with, you know, his imaginary claws, and then quickly turns back and starts looking for something, and grabs the knife that he had with him, turns back, looks at you, and he's gonna jab at you, saying, yeah. If I can find where I dropped the sheet, hold on. Here we go. I will roll to hit with that. An 11 doesn't hit. Yay!
No, thank God. And I don't even have my shield out, so I was like, oh, he's gonna hit me. Yep, no, 11 does not hit.
So as he quickly gets his little dagger out and jumps literally off the piles of gold and swings with this great arc at you, you just kind of don't even really attempt to dodge. It is a bit of a surprise, but as he's jumping along, you notice that he trips. But in his mind, he's doing such a great maneuver. He's just like, wah, wah! And then as he lands, he steps on a single gold coin and slips for a second. Then he's looking at you and he just says, "Dah!" Pokes his tongue out at you.
How loud was that?
Loud enough that one specific entity can make a check. If I can find where they are.
But like in this room, it definitely seemed loud.
It seemed loud in this room, so. Ooh. Okay. So, yeah, he makes a loud noise, tries to swing at you, and that's kind of his turn.
Okay, bonus action, I'm going to cast Shillelagh.
Hey.
My staff begins to kind of, begins to be enveloped by this kind of green magic. It doesn't really change in looks aside from it's just kind of surrounded this magic. I'm going to take it in both my hands and hopefully kill this thing.
Hey! So, yeah, how do you want to get the first kill of the game?
Yeah, just very, very, very quickly, just as efficiently
Just
as
like,
possible.
shut up, poof, poof.
Hitting him in the jaw. It's hit him in the jaw, kind of bottom part, trying to break his neck. Yeah, so he dies. As I drops. I'm gonna quickly look around. Can I grab him and start dragging him away?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I still am concentrating on pass without trace, so I'm gonna grab him and start moving. No, I have half.
Okay.
Movement. That's going on.
Well, to be fair, given his small stature, he looks... You can literally just, like, drag him with no extra effort.
Oh, sweet. Okay. So there's 20 feet there.
So as you get to that point, you drag him along very quickly. You hear the sound of small bits of clattering gold, but you quickly drag him along and chuck him into the water. You notice this water goes down for about 5 feet, and his body, the second you put it on top, starts to sink.
Oh, I'm not letting go. I'm like pulling him close to me, keeping his body out from the, like, that way he's not, his feet or anything aren't hanging out in the doorway.
Okay.
I know I can't roll stealth again yet, but that's where I am.
Okay. So after you give him a massive crack in the jaw, his body spins, hits the coins. You quickly fucking grab him, rush off to the corner, and hide. Make a perception check while you're there, but
Yep.
for the second, that'll be your turn. Varnix.
Dang.
Varnix.
Okay. So from our end,
Hmm.
again, nothing has occurred,
No.
and I can only see legit within my circle around here.
Yep.
So I guess I'll probably just
Actually,
keep
you know what?
ed-
You know what? Hold on. Because I personally find it very fucking stupid that Dragonborn's, even the base. I know. One
You're
of
giving me night vision.
yes, one of the new variants have it as 60 feet flat. I'm not giving you 60 foot. I'm giving you 30 foot because I've made that deal with people before and it's only fair. So boop. Vision. Don't move.
Jesus.
Don't move just yet. I'm just going to change your token to the new one so that you've always got dark vision.
I suddenly see a skull forming in the rock.
So yes. So a lot of this, it's a very kind of light brown coloration to it. You see scatterings of little bits of sand and the dirt from the floor beneath you.
I'm assuming it descends from here.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. I guess
Kind of a slip.
right now, I guess I'll relay to the others that there's a steep drop from about.
Oh, they can see it.
Oh, they can see it.
Yeah, they've got dark vision.
I'm still gonna say it because
Mm.
I don't know
No.
that I don't have dark vision
Mhm.
since they have neglected to tell me.
I don't know.
Which, as you say that, I'm just going to say, yeah, no, I see it.
I just look at Carrick and say, "You tell us now."
But what you never asked.
So, we get. I guess I just keep edging just along here.
Okay.
Because there's a steep drop.
There is a path around there, by the way. Just putting it out there. For the,
Alright,
I'm only saying it for the sake of if you guys want to remain as hidden as possible. That's all I'm saying. It's the same thing all the way around. You get
Well,
to the same
right
location.
now, right now we're not in combat, so I guess I'll probably ask the others, tell them that there's a diversion path from here in here, and inquire as to which path would they like to go.
Again, it's quite literally to the same destination. I'm just saying for the sake of optimization is what I meant.
Okay, fuck it, we're going here and here then.
Make a stealth no.
There, we're going here.
Okay.
And that's my turn.
So as you get there, mosey.
Okay, I'm going to.
I will note you and Carrick. You both can hear the sounds of footsteps coming from your left.
From my left.
Mm-hmm.
Then I guess I'll go where Varnix went. Hold on. Okay then. And that's it.
Okay. Carrick.
Oh, right.
Again, you can hear footsteps coming from your left. Which, to be more specific, you can see what that source is.
dash action to here.
Okay. Make a quick stealth check.
Okay.
Because that is excess movement. And this tunnel carries. Gone. Everybody still there?
Yep.
Still here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Karen, during his rush, he tripped and broke his neck.
Oh, his his PC crashed.
Ah, okay. Then I'll be prepared.
Okay.
Since they both heard footsteps on the left, would I have heard footsteps on my left?
It comes around to the time of them starting to move that the footsteps start going.
Alright, so right now I don't know that we've got
No.
potential people incoming and no one's told me.
Connor?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm back. That is very, very weird.
If an opening on your end?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell just happened. My computer, as soon as Lee said, make a stealth check as its extra action, my screen, both of my screens turn on and off, shoot what I had on, and then my computer shut down, and the screens just went, and I was like, what?
That's just the power I have when you mess with me.
Was there an update or something?
I don't. Well, no, it just literally just shut down. It didn't do like this computer is closing down. It just literally switched off.
Let's just round it up to Windows 11 being a total bitch as usual.
Yeah.
Stealth check, motherfucker!
Right. Yeah. Sorry. I just need that really
Irked.
that messed with me like the hell. Right.
Nom.
Right. So okay. It's loaded in fully now. Nice. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Connor?
Oh, nice.
Connor, you can roll bad, you know, with stealth. That is an option for you.
Yeah, but I'd like to carry on making the good ones while I still can.
Okay. Well, all I'm going to say is someday you're not, and I'm going to be there
Yeah, I know.
with a horde of orcs, and it's going to be great.
That's fine. And yeah.
So let me just check a thing. Doop 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 boop. Cool. Don't know why it revealed the roll, but I mean, yeah.
Oh, just so you know, I can see that roll if it's meant to be hidden.
It was supposed to be. The sheets for some reason have been, even when they're NPCs, set to automatically not whisper it.
Did it somehow get switched in the actual game settings?
I think so.
I'm just resetting my roll 21 sec.
Okay. So yeah, long story short, you skitter along. You do clink and clank once or twice, but you keep it under wraps for the most part. And eventually you get over. You notice nobody seems to pay any attention to it. Is that you?
That's good. Bear with me. From where I was, I think I used about 50 feet, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be it for me. Yeah.
Okay. Then
Because I just realised it's a good place I'm in.
Jeff, for the sake of context, you wait around for a little bit. It's a good like 10-15 seconds you're kind of just listening out with the body pressed close. Doesn't sound like anyone heard.
I'm going to release the body, let it sink.
Mm-hmm.
If it does, you said it's going to sink.
Yes.
So as long as it sinks, then I will. 10 feet. Okay, so it's 30 feet there. I'm gonna look at that blue gem. Is there anything, like, I would like to get closer to it eventually, but just from right here, is there anything special about it that I notice?
Make a perception check first.
Oh, son of a gun! Why did I do that? I meant to. Never mind.
What's that?
I was gonna kind of re-stealth up.
Oh, I mean, that's fine. You can do that at any point if you want. Because, I mean, you'll have to re-roll it at some point. Doesn't matter if it's doing it right now or not. You're just looking. It's fine.
Mm.
So as you look over at the pile, you see the gem standing up in amongst the pile. And as you're kind of looking over it, it looks like a pure gem of some kind that's been... It doesn't seem like it's been altered, which is the weird thing. It seems like it was in just that perfect crystallized form. Though it looks very sturdy, and light isn't refracting off of it as much as you'd expect it to. You, without a better inspection, can't say for certain what the deal with it is. But you're curious at the very least.
Okay. For now, I'm gonna kind of press myself up against the back of this, like, little stalagmite right here.
Okay. If you want to, you can feel free to redo your stealth check.
Yep. Sorry, my dog started barking.
Oh, that's fine. Fucking Jesus. So, long story short, you and the wall become one. And then you harvest the organs of the DM because he doesn't realise you're doing it. Great, thanks. Campaign over, guys, I'm dead. So, you perfectly stealth, of course.
This stealth is so high, I'm actually standing behind you right now. So that's just...
Oh, thank God, it's just my cabinet. Oh my God, unless you're a mimic and you're the cabinet. Okay. So, as you guys are doing all that, you three at the top. Hello, Beck. You three at the top. Kind of. Actually, hold on. Let me just double check if the thing. Oh, bitch! It is. Okay. So we have things happening now. Firstly, you three at the top, as well as you, Jeff, in your little corner of the world, you each hear in the back of your heads, hello? I can sense each of you there. You're not with them, I believe. You are adventurers of some description, yes? Apologies, don't actually try to reply. This is a one-way system. If I could ask for your assistance. You are currently within what used to be my lair. I'm rather encumbered. The orcs and their kin have taken this place over. One of them managed to raid the hoard of gems that my kin and kith collected over the years. They were embedded with minor magical potency, and I instilled upon it my own stamp to further improve it, as thanks to those who joined me here. They've have taken these gems and used it to bind me. I cannot escape on my own. They've drained me of so much of my own power and locked me behind a barrier. Please, if you can find the one who holds the ruby gem and destroy either it or stop him from using it, I can break free. And you have no reason to listen or even believe me, but if not for me, at the very least, find that orc. Take the gem from him. He will do twisted things with it. Please, I beg of you each.
Is either the voice or the type of origin familiar to me?
The origin, no. But you don't know why, but there's this, possibly something to do with your recent history, what you've been learning. There's a wisdom to it that kind of connects with you in a weirdly spiritual way that you never thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the voice of something that connects with you on a personal level. It just feels sort of like a kith and kin kind of thing, familial almost.
Okay. Yeah.
Was this spoken in the same language as before?
No,
When we oh, so was this
it was spoken in common.
right?
You guys, those of you in the chamber with the skull, first off, a creature moves around and leaves the field. Secondly, you guys notice all of a sudden as this bright light starts to emit from the centre of the room, which I believe you should have noticed, assuming my thing isn't being a dick, which I think it is. There we go.
Yeah, I can see it.
Good. You notice as this wall of what now is a beacon of light glows in a faint green, and trapped inside you see what looks to be a very old, hair down towards the ground and further, making a train, and the beard that's got so many braids in it, you're not sure where he starts and the braid ends. What looks to be a sphinx, with its wings not damaged, but they lie with no energy at its sides. You notice it's looking forward at the moment, but after talking to you, this field glows bright. And as it glows bright, the entity in front of that, what you guys now notice, it turns around as an orc of some kind, with this green paint over its face, looks up toward it, and starts to speak in Ignan, for the sake of Sol being the only one who can understand it. The voice carries with intention. What are you doing? You were not allowed to use your life force so willingly. You are to feed the master, so keep yourself sparing. If you want a nightlight, I will bring you a torch. And then you see he makes a flick of the wrist. The three gems embedded into the ground send a small surge of magical energy toward the middle. And you notice, as the light is not only turned off, but before it's turned off, you see the surge of energy go and cover the entirety of the runic writing on the ground. And since he himself is stood on that runic writing, you notice this channeling of energy runs up into his large paws, and he recoils in pain, but he can't even bring a grunt out. Though each of you do hear a very subtle in each of your minds. Jeff, you specifically, as you hear that grunt of pain, kind of feel almost a very light punch to your gut as a weird personal connection is not made between you, but and the light is dimmed. So, Varnix, Mosey, Carrick, what would you like to do?
I think we should free him. What do you guys think?
Why would you free this thing? We don't know anything about it.
Well, we know that these two are not good people. But you know, we can at least firstly dispose of them, and then we can interrogate him.
We don't know anything about these people or this thing that's imprisoned. It could be
Okay, so you want to talk to them? We can talk to them.
Just
isn't
as a
part
note,
of the job.
while they're talking, Jeff, you can feel free to take 30 feet or more if you dash.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also gonna grab this gem.
Yeah, boy. Okay.
We getting paid extra for this? If we are, I'm for it.
So,
This literally wasn't part of the job or any criteria. Why would you free an entity we don't know anything about?
Because you seem like an okay dude when you talked in my head, and you saw it suffering,
could
and
be a-
you saw those people are not good.
It could be a devourer of words It could be a devourer of worlds. We don't know anything about it.
Sure, then let's talk to them.
you see as the goblin and orc are currently talking amongst themselves, and then the orc kind of just points off toward the left. The goblin kind of looks for a moment, says something in return, and then the goblin starts to just walk away. Carry on.
So okay, so first of all I'm going to translate everything that they said, the whole conversation.
Just now the Sphinx was speaking in common.
Yeah, but this guy was
Oh.
speaking ignorant.
No, they were speaking orc and goblin.
Oh, can go. Ah, okay. So I would know.
No.
Would I understand the orc part then?
Why would you? Do you have orc?
Yeah.
Oh, you said
understand
you
orc,
have orc. Yeah, pardon me. Someone has voice in their head. Let's free XP. Okay, so yeah, for a quicker, swifty recap then, you do notice they go in between orc and goblin, almost because you think by the way the goblin's speaking, he doesn't fully know orc, so they're mincing words for the most part. But as they're speaking,
What do I get out of this?
what you get is, now go make sure that everything is ready for the ritual later for the master. Collect the gold and do not skimp. And make sure those adventurers, wherever the hell they're hiding, are removed and fed to the beast below. Oh, and when you have a moment, fetch me some food. I'm parched. And
Carrick's gonna pull a bit of a face as he's hearing this.
What's
Honest,
wrong, Kevin?
they pull the same face.
Carrick's gonna move in slightly closer and just whisper, saying, "The guy,
he says,
Carrick says,
Yeah.
"What?
the guy with the hood says, well, long story short, they seem to know we're here. Whether it's in this cave or whether it's outside of the cave, I don't know. But apparently he wants to feed us to things that are below. And I don't think he's referring to that thing."
You guys then seem to almost like cinematically look towards, though I think you can't technically see it, but you look towards the waters over off on the side, and now that you're attention is focused on what are the threats, you do see a shadow of something in the water. Something big. Carry on. Also, Jeff, have another 30 feet.
Probably going to assume whatever is in that pool over there. And long story short, well, he's getting the goblin to fetch him some food because he is parched.
I imagine Varnix and Sol are just silently arguing between each other about what's happening. Like, there's a difference between what we're doing and stupidity. We can't free a voice we just heard.
Yeah, so I see that, right?
Oh yes.
Okay.
As you.
I'm just gonna look to Varnex and just say, technically, they probably either do know we're in here or somewhere nearby. So we're on the menu. I don't quite fancy being served up, so I'm down for either kicking ass or, well, taking heads, or, well, getting out of there. Either or.
So.
Alright, I imagine...
Sorry, hold on.
Varnix...
Hold on.
Yeah.
Jeff, as you do turn that corner, because your stealth is high, I will give you the chance to move 5 feet in any direction, regardless of your current movement. And you kind of like very quickly, just as you're turning, you hear the sound of a door close, and you're like, oh shit, and just throw yourself backwards.
Can I hold an action as well with my shillelagh to
Yeah.
block him once he gets here? Okay, yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Okay. Varnix, please do carry on. Oh, he's be right back in. Okay. Well, so yeah, he's just gonna start taking movement.
But before he gets here, did I see if the door behind that I know he just came through was open or closed?
The one behind him is closed. This one here, I mean, technically speaking, this door here should have been closed, but for the sake of thematics at this point, the door is opened a slight. It'll be from the left side, and as he makes his way through, he is within batting range if you want to bat.
I'm going to bat him. Natural 20 right here. Here it comes.
Oh, that was almost a 20. That's still pretty good though. So, as he comes walking through, and you give him a quick bash, he stumbles a little to the ground. The door kind of just closes behind him, and as he wobbles down toward the floor, he quickly picks himself back up, grabs a blade in his little his little leaf belt, and looks at you and just goes, so you've got a second. So what would you like to do with your extra action?
Yeah, I'm gonna rush forward and we're silencing this guy. I'm not playing a druid. I'm playing a rogue. God.
That just misses. Actually, no. Hold on. No. Wait. Let me. No, that hits. Sorry.
Okay. Woo.
Sorry. I've got two different types of goblins, but these ones are the lesser of that variety. Yeah. So after you give him a quick bat, and he spins and falls onto the ground, quickly steps back up, grabs his dagger, and before he has the chance, just. How do you want to kill him?
Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna two-handed strike straight down on the top of his head, and just like as hard as I can with the shillelagh behind it, breaking his neck from the sheer downward force of it. Yeah. So he's
Poof! And his body just smashes into the dirt. Would you like to drag it away?
Yes, I would. I was gonna say, do you want me to wait to drag it, or do you want me to drag it? Go ahead and drag it now.
Totally fine. We will just drag it now.
Yeah, I will drag it now.
You
That's
just
exactly where I was going with it too.
chuck it straight in the water.
Yeah.
Start in the body pile, you know.
Does it start sinking as well?
Oh yes.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Plop. So you get back to the door. Varnix.
Yep, okay, I imagine from what's been happening, Sol and I would be silently arguing about what we're planning to do. Like, Sol has just heard a voice in his head, it's like, let's free it, and I'm like, what you on about?
And I said we don't have to free it, but at least we can, take care of this guy or, try and talk to him. They know we're here, so we might as well. If you want, I can try and contact this thing right here and ask him questions. I can do that with my mind, and yeah.
Can I observe the situation, see if it looks like these things can actually see us? Like, are they looking our direction?
By the looks of it, you're pretty sure. At the moment, this one is... oh, jeez. The orc is at the very least still slightly distracted as he's looking over the sphere that's covering the Sphinx. Try to say that 5 times fast. And he's beginning again what looks to be the same ritual that he was doing earlier, making hand motions and then his small whipping of magic. He just seems to be too distracted to care, possibly.
So at the moment, I can see that they're in the middle of a ritual. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I look to Soul and I make a gesture. I make a gesture that's like, fine, by all means.
Yeah.
Since I don't know any form of magic.
Why do you want me to ask it?
I will note as well, now that it's doing the ritual again, it has what looks to be like some kind of bone mask over its head that's also painted green just above the nose.
See, he has a bone mask. That's never a good sign.
The best logic in the world.
Yes. So I'm going to try and contact this guy with...
Sol, just a question. As you do get to the edge, are you standing or are you proning toward it?
I'm laying on the dirt, so
Okay.
I won't fall.
Okay.
Oh, Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Since I'm letting Soul do an action, in this order of initiative, would I be holding my action in case anything happens?
You can hold your action if you want. What are you holding?
I don't know, just in case anything goes to shit.
You need to be specific, my dude, because there's plenty we can assume you do.
How can I be specific? Generally go shit.
If someone
big thing.
starts to realise we're here, I shoot it in the face. I scream. This is genuinely one of those I can't help you with. It's if you're holding an action, I can
fine.
give you examples.
I don't know. If anything comes to us, if anything comes in our direction, I'll have my quarterstaff ready.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be ready to beat his ass.
Okay, so if something comes in range, you do an attack.
Okay, yeah, since that's literally all I can do.
Okay. So as you begin your telepathic connection, what do you say? And again, Jeff, you can have another 30 feet of movement.
Uh-huh. Going back up through this door.
Yes, it is open. The one ahead of you is also open, but for the sake of the thematic of it all.
If that's open, I would be coming over here and like against the wall.
Oh no, sorry. Being more specific, you can open the door, is what I mean. It's just blocked off vision-wise.
Oh, gotcha. I understand.
No magic monk. What a nerd. Yeah. So Mosey.
So I'm going to talk to him and say, were you the one who was just talking in my head?
You very quickly hear a, "Oh my, someone actually can communicate back. I've not spoken any tongue in return for quite some time." Yes. You do see that the Sphinx is remaining mostly still, but you do notice the head kind of does this very small turning motion as it's looking a little left.
Don't. don't. You will give them our location.
You see
Please
that
stand still.
he lays his head, like, very gently against the rocky floor.
Good. Who are you?
That's a very old question. I used to be called Solomon. I suppose that is my name. As for my story, that's a little bit longer. Is there something specific you're intending?
Would I know if things are inherently good or evil?
Inherently, I'd probably say chaotic neutral to miss.
Make
No, but would I know that?
Make your choice of history for sphinxes in general, or insight for this one in particular. Okay. Sphinxes are a rarity to begin with. Any degree of lore or bestiary that you could read about them, which is, again, pretty much the best most people will ever get, just notes mostly that they're pacifists unless you are on their territory, in which case, kind of similar to dragons, they'll do nearly anything they need to get you off their territory. Though there are, same as anything else, great examples of the far left or the far right. It just depends really on the environment that they're kept in. They kind of stay out of their way, they pick a plot of land, and they leave everyone else to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, for any specificity, mostly they're neutral. You could call it chaotic neutral if you want to be more specific.
I see. Okay. I'm going to ask it then. So what's the deal here?
Well, my kin, they all passed on to the other world a few centuries ago, and so I was here alone for a while. But then a couple more came by, started mining. I kept myself to myself. They took whatever it is they desired. All I asked in turn is company. And then, well, the Arginum Horde. They had sent a scouting unit. They collected some people, disappeared. We thought it would be the end of it. But then they came back with a small horde. And magical, ritualistic knowledge. They brought a couple of the druidic kind. Took over my entire mountain. Took my people away and started learning of my capacity to imbue gems with my power. And they've been slowly but surely siphoning my life force from me, with what I assume is no intention to let me die. This field you can see me in, it not only sustains, but it acts as a barrier against my magic. It gives me life and sustenance, but makes sure that that's all I get. And so I'm rather feeble.
So I turn around and I say, okay, good news. Even if we do free him, he doesn't seem like he could actually do much, since he's weak. And I relay everything that he said.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
we
give
don't have to free him, but we can get some info on how many there are here, and after we're done we can talk to him, and then decide if we want to free him or whatever.
Jeff, you can get to the other door at this point. Make a perception check when you do.
I'm not opening it, though.
Mm-hmm. That's fine. I figured.
I'm purposely stopping at the door.
Oh, nice. So, firstly, unrelated to the perception check, you feel the connection, kind of like a second heartbeat as you get toward the door. And you get the last licks of conversation between Mosey and the Sphinx about it being weakened. And with the perception check, you hear the sounds of water sloshing just beyond the door for about all of 2 seconds, and then it seems to cease.
Wait, how can he hear my conversation with the Sphinx?
I guess that's the question, isn't it? Uh-huh.
I can only do it with another creature?
I know you can.
He's hacking my mind. It's those Bill Gates ships.
As that happens, I am going to take out my battered shield and hold it, kind of close my eyes, and start to focus on something, and that'll when it comes around to my turn. I'll do the things I need to do.
Okay. So, you three again.
So, at this point, Saul will relay to us what was spoken to him through the gem, is that right?
I see.
I relayed everything.
I give Saul a blank stare and say, it could be lying, as far as we know. We don't know anything about this entity.
Fine, I'll ask it. Hey, Sphinx, you lying?
There is a pause for a second. No.
Inside check.
Go for it.
That was
Boom.
convincing.
Heavy blank stare.
Its reaction seems truthful from what little you can tell with the mental interaction. It seems it's just more flabbergasted than anything.
I mean, technically, Varnex couldn't hear it because it was in my mind.
So you're just telling me you're hearing voices?
And I'm going to telepathically tell him I don't just hear voices, I talk to him telepathically.
Again,
Yes.
I'm just hearing you.
Yes, telepathically, in your mind. You don't
Just
see my lips moving, do you?
Again, just you.
Jeff, with your
Yes,
earlier
because it's a
perception,
one-way street.
as you're sat there preparing, you take a deep breath. You hear the sound of voices, multiple, carrying through the hallway behind you.
Can I make out what they're saying, or does it sound muffled with a door closed?
It sounds muffled, but it sounds like a language you don't understand anyway. It has a very it's a lot of it is very like deep and growly and very loud.
Okay. Yeah, for now, I'm honestly going to kind of block out that voice and just concentrate on what I'm about to do, on what I'm trying to do.
Okay. What would you like to do?
Yeah, so I'm going to engage my symbiotic entity using a wild shape.
Mm. Okay. Circle of spores, baby.
Yeah, so I concentrate on those like microscopic spores that are always surrounding me, and they begin to coalesce into those like similar flakes to that my chill touches use. They begin to swirl kind of around me. So that's my action. I'm gonna using my action to do that, I'm just gonna stop here for just a moment, and then we'll go loud in a second.
Okay. What are you three doing?
Right now, Sol and I are silently arguing between each other.
I just imagine a lot of finger pointing and like, no, it's talking in your head. That's not normal.
And Garrick's just sort of like standing behind them, starting to look impatient.
And right now,
Okay.
I'm like, there's
And-
an effigy of a skull in the rocks, and you're saying you can hear voices. This is not a good thing.
Well, more specifically, it's the creature in the middle, in front of the skull.
Not voices, I can direct it to whoever I want, and I directed it to the Sphinx specifically. So I know it's him, because that's the destination. So yeah, I was talking to him. Carrick, what do you think we should do?
We both look at him and like, what do you think?
I sort of like stop mid, sort of like stretch, and just sort of like pause and look like they're talking to me, and just be like, when are we gonna fight? And I just continue to limber up.
You've yet to answer.
What am I yet to answer? Meanwhile, as he says that, he gets both these sort of like arms up and he starts sort of like twisting his shoulders, just trying to sort of like get the clicks out.
You've clearly heard what me and Sol have been discussing between each other back and forth. What's your opinion?
Wait, you think I was listening to everything?
You're literally right next to us.
Can you three make a stealth check for me, please?
I think this is the one where I roll badly.
Here's hoping. Ah, you bitch.
Oh
Nah,
my god.
Like, it's ridiculous.
Right now, me and Sol are just silently arguing between each other, so the 11 counts.
So, as you guys are suddenly, like, just fighting, and he's like making these little clicks and cracks, you guys suddenly hear, "What was that?" And you see the orc down below stop the ritual and is looking around. The Sphinx slowly stands up. He looks at the Sphinx with an eye, trying to incite, perceive, and as he looks around the room, he looks along the edges of where you guys are at the moment. He doesn't seem to immediately see you. If you're trying to play games with me, it will be the last day of your life. And you see the Sphinx
We all
just...
hear this.
The sound is carrying very well.
see what I tell you? Evil.
You see
Could
him,
I just like
you see his
quickly
eyes
grab Sol?
immediately dart toward where you guys are.
No, I did it. I whispered it.
Uh-huh. He's
could I just
listening.
like quickly grab Sol and just drag us onto the floor to try and hide us, like hide ourselves?
Make a sleight of hand check, because at the minute you two are given away pretty much.
Wait, can I bring them down?
I'm
Okay,
already
then.
down.
So as his eyes quickly divert up there, you can kind of see these little beads of red through his little bone mask. As he's looking towards where you are, you quickly drop, push both of your heads down into the dirt and hide. His eyes stay gazing over. And then each of you hear the sounds of a large splash of water. As in the distance, whatever's in the waters jumps out for a moment. His attention quickly shifts over toward that, and then looks back towards where he thinks you are. But you notice his eyes are drifting around it now. If he's seeming like he's unsure. It doesn't
Make a
matter.
look. I make a look between Soul with my fingers pressed across my lips as in a gesture to be very quiet.
You see his hands slowly begin forming motions again. So, Jeff.
Yeah, so I'm opening this door. I've dropped concentration on passive out of trace. I'm opening the door. I'm stepping through.
Okay.
My spores kind of swirling around me. I'm gonna get a look at this room.
Are
This is
you-
the only guy I can see right now?
Are you foregoing stealth?
I'm not forgoing it. I'm
Okay.
just I've dropped passive out of trace.
Okay.
So that'd be 10 feet.
So, as you get closer, on the map, you can't see it, but you, in character, can actually see the Sphinx is in this massive like bubble here. You kind of look toward it, you can just about make out a bit of its face in the darkness. And it's looking over toward you, its head held slightly high, but you can see a lot of its body is like sallow, and it's very old. Very old. And as you start stepping closer, you hear in your head, "Do be careful. There are others just behind me, ready to help, I believe."
Okay. So I will continue forward. Let's see, can I see the other side? Is this, I can see the bait, like the front, the very front of the skull here. Is that obscuring my view from anything? Like, is that a solid thing that I can't see through?
Yes. Other than the two eye holes, which are a little bit further up, you would be able to see them again because cinematic and blah blah blah. Other than the eye holes, it is a full surface. There's no shadow.
Okay, so can I respond to the Sphinx in my head?
You can attempt.
How far behind? I'll ask how far behind the others are. Like, how far behind the Sphinx the others are.
Let's play 30 feet. They're up on a platform just above him.
So, obviously I can't see, but at the furthest spot I can see. So with that response, I'm going to use my action. I'm going to cast Sleep right here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right here. Hopefully it'll get done. Using my symbiotic entity.
Just a quick check. He's, for the sake of a quick meta, he's basically saying the party is above him.
Oh shoot!
I was just like, is he trying to put the party to sleep? I mean, if he wants to do his solo, I don't really.
Alright. That's my misunderstanding. I thought it was like, okay.
Oh, okay.
I was like, that would really okay. Okay.
And then I betrayed a party, put them to sleep. They're over there, get them!
Oh, I would have felt so bad. Okay, yeah, no. Instead, I'm going to. Okay, so what I have gathered that when you said help, that the Sphinx meant help me or help the enemy.
Help you.
Okay, then I'm going to cast Fairy Fire centered on the bad guy in the center. He needs to make a DC 14 Dex save.
Okay, I think I've got something for that. Bam!
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. Hold on, is it gonna let me know is the question. Take that! Bam! So, 20 foot cube.
Oh, that's what you have. I was like, I thought you meant you had something in like his legendary resistances or something. He's just
Oh god,
assigned
though.
to no, you don't.
So 15, 20. So bippity bappity. Dexterity, did you say?
9. Dexterity. DC is 14.
11.
Yes, awesome. So he's illuminated, so everyone has advantage on attacking him. That was my action, my movement.
So he gets very colourful. Give me a colour, Jeff.
Let's say he's illuminated in kind of a. He's honestly illuminating like a grayish white, a rotting color.
That will have to do. Boop. So
And I will bonus action re-up my shillelagh.
nice.
It's been definitely more than that.
So as the spell is cast, and this should be emitting light. Objects and affected creatures shine a dim. Okay. So he is emitting light. Field of vision, bright light. Boop. Sheds dim light for a radius. Da, da, da. There we go. He is now emitting light. So as you slowly sneak forward, hold up your hands, and these. I assume it's more of the same. How is your fairy fire? A lot of your dust of death.
Yeah, it's a lot of the same. That same kind of necrotic, like and the necrotic flakes that kind of flail around. They begin to illuminate and kind of shrink down onto. They kind of zoom down onto the targets that are caught within, and if they're unable to avoid them, they stick to them, and they each one of these like little necrotic flakes begin to emit light.
Nice.
That causes them to be illuminated.
So he becomes illuminated, and as he's performing his ritual, he suddenly notices these little flakes appearing, and then he becomes illuminated. He very quickly stops, looks up towards where he thought the sound was coming from originally, which, for the sake of a bit of interest, is roughly in around that area.
What area?
It's just above the top right. I don't know if you can see it, but honestly, it's
Oh,
more for there.
Roughly the same. I see it now.
Yeah.
Roughly the same area as trying to cast sleep.
Yes. And he quickly looks up over there, and from his palm, you see this small bit of energy gathering, and it takes the form of a secondary hand, and he flicks it forward 30 feet as he casts Mage Hand. Bloop. Which I do have a thing for. Ha 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 ha. So, 15, 20, 25, right there.
Oh, spooky spectral hand.
Spectral hand, it goes spooky spectral. So,
Dang, that's a big spectral hand. Holy crap.
you'd be surprised. I'm gonna, for the sake of the moment, call this initiative, though depends on whether or not he catches you guys or if he catches Jeff. So I'm gonna.
Oh, he's definitely gonna catch me at some point.
Oh.
Who would that?
That would be the music bot.
Oh, hold on, let me get his ass right back in here. He's got a job to do.
Music has died.
Music is over. This is the end, my only friend, the end. Actually, you know what? I got more appropriate music anyway. So copy. Bloop. So, as he throws his hand forward, he looks up toward where he thinks you guys are, and just shouts, "I've had enough! I will hunt you!" You see he
Is
looks...
this technically the start of his turn?
No, it's just a bit of verbal.
Okay.
Looks over at his hand. His actual hand. Seriously. So this will be the start of an initiative. So, Jeff.
Yeah. So, me. Okay. Let's see. So I've re-upped on my shillelagh,
Mm.
so I need to actually pick this as well. Because this is going to do some extra damage when I get to him.
A good old bit
I
back.
will rush forward.
Yep.
Yep.
as you come running up from behind. He very quickly turns around, hearing the sound, and as he turns and looks to you, he's like, "What?" And then you swing, and that's it. You swing and give him a quick club. Where specifically would you like to hit?
Yeah, so I'm gonna hit him kind of above the abdomen, kind of lower part of the ribs. Hit him horizontally with that, so that he takes the bludgeoning damage, and because of the symbiotic entity, his muscles and everything not only begin to get bruised, but they begin to necrotize. They begin to break down from the extra effects.
Okay. So as you give him a quick crack with it, he stumbles back for a second, holds onto his ribs. You see this little sputter of blood come out of the mouth of the mask, and he looks at you. "Where have you been hiding?"
I will use my bonus action, symbiotic entity, to speak telepathically with him.
Okay.
Just kind of, they make their way into, like, through his ear canal up to his brain itself, so it gives me that connection.
Yes.
And I will say, "You will release it now."
You see as his head kind of moves for a second as if he's unaware of what's happening, but then he very quickly clicks, and he says out loud, "Can't be done by just me. You could take my life. It won't mean a thing." Is that your turn?
My turn.
Well, next, you guys notice obvious combat.
Alright, so from our last turn, I dragged Sol to the ground in an attempt to hide us, and was seeing this combat unfold. I just turned to Sol and I'm like, is this guy part of the Great Expedition?
I don't fucking know. Let's just go kill the dude. We can find out later.
I just look to Sol and I'm like, I roll my eyes.
It's
Fuck
gonna
it.
be a thing, huh?
As a note, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but it is a 15-foot drop from this to get to the bottom.
Could we survive a 15-foot drop?
Well, you'll still take a d6 of damage, but you can survive it.
I look to Sol. Any chance you have Featherfall?
I
What-
missed a step.
Fuck it. Wait, would Misty Step on work on all of us, or
It's
just
just him.
Caster?
Just one.
Just me.
Alright, I just push him in. Fine, go for it.
Asshole.
Since you want to, go ahead.
So what are you doing, Varnix? As technically it's your turn, but anyone can go in the order they want at the mix. You're all on the same line.
Right now, I have no clue what the hell is going on. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know if we should engage in combat. Since Sol clearly wants to, then by all means, let him. So I guess I'll hold my action. Bonus action, I'll just shove Sol down and let him use Misty Step.
I mean, he can just do that on his turn, really.
Yeah.
Alright.
Which is next.
For the sake of flavour, you kind of just like, okay, bye. Poof. And he's like, you bitch! Poof. Okay.
But I imagine he'd cast Misty Step on his way down.
Yes. Okay,
By all means.
is that, air quote, you?
Yeah, that's me. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't see why it has to involve us, so I'll hold my action in case anything happens.
Muzzy.
I'm currently falling down.
Yes.
Aren't I?
Oh, yes.
Uh-huh. Can I... Okay.
Also, I'm just going to change your token for a sec. Oh, what?
What?
The fucking, the game reset itself. God damn it.
Oh.
Yeah, we just lost our DM.
How rude. Oh, no, I'll be right back.
This is a really cool map, though. I love this map.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
Carry on. I am back.
Okay, you're back. Good. So, can I say that I'm currently not here, but here? Right? The fuck is this hand?
What, this?
Yeah.
It's what the guy summoned to go toward you lot.
Tis the mage hand.
'Tis the mage hand.
Oh, mage hand. Fine. And I'll just go here. Can I just misty step here?
The question is, are you doing this while you're falling?
Do I have a choice? I'm not going to misty step when I... Boom.
Okay, fair enough.
He said he could use Misty Step, so I pushed him, so yes, he can use Misty Step as he falls.
Okay, so yeah, you can poof, bump yourself over to it.
Fine. And I don't take damage, right? Because...
No, because you do it in midair.
Great.
Chad.
So I'm just gonna change your token quickness.
Change my token to what?
There we go. No, just to have your name on the tracker instead
Ah.
of your actual name.
I see. I see.
Is that you, or is there anything else you want to do?
And can I still cast something?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna cast Mage Armor on myself because
Hey.
now that I'm here,
What does it give you?
13 plus Dex, so now I have 14 armor class.
There you go. You are temporarily on 14.
Yes.
Is that you?
And yeah, that's me for now.
Okay. Carrick.
Don't do it to me.
Seeing all of this happen, Varnex for Varnex as it is, you would just hear somewhat of a steadfast hike of volume, just not overly loud but not as quiet as they've been being, from Garrick go, finally.
Combat!
He's not going
And
to
you
push me
just-
down.
And then from behind you, you just see him start moving. And he's going to move up to here. And Lee, I've got a question. Is this a bit of a slope down, or is it just
No.
a straight drop?
No, it's a straight drop.
50 foot.
Fair enough.
It's a 50-foot drop.
From here, I would like to do one or two things.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, I can see him from where I am, can't I?
If you can see him, you can see him.
Yep. And I am going to throw one of my hand axes at him. With disadvantage, because he's
You're
in my
flat.
disadvantage.
It's
Hmm?
flat because you have advantage. You would have advantage from Fairy Fire, so it's flat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh!
He's eliminated.
Oh, great! Okay, I just gotta throw my hand axe in.
You. Juicy. So, from all the way up there, you sat literally right on the edge as far as you can stand. You can feel the rocks crumbling underneath your boot.
This will be my mid-action as I throw an axe before I do something else that I will announce after.
Okay. You stand right on the edge, grab the hand axe out, and just it goes spinning in the air. And as Halfir is there, you just hear all of a sudden just this crunching of bones as this hand axe embeds in his shoulder, and his whole body just contorts for a moment as he jerks. And he looks over toward you lot as his one arm is now dangling down to the left.
And I'm
Looks
gonna drop down.
okay. Are you gonna straight drop, or is there something you're doing?
I'm gonna straight drop.
Then you take a d6 of damage.
Okay.
1 damage. Lucky,
Superhero landing! Superhero landing!
lucky fucker. So
I'm just gonna straight drop and just drop to the floor with quite the entrance and finesse.
you literally like smash into the dirt and rocks, And other than a little bit of tenseness in your feet for a second, you feel pretty fucking good.
And I'm just gonna sort of like look up with a smile as I look towards him with the axe embedded in his shoulder.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna wipe my nose with my thumb within getting ready to just charge at him.
Okay. Then on his turn.
Before he goes,
Oh.
I will use my reaction to activate my Halo spores.
Oh, there it is.
As the little bits of things that have attached to him have already illuminated him, they begin to eat away his flesh and grow in size as he takes 2 necrotic damage.
Oof. I'm feeling that there's a curse in this game. I will explain in a little bit. But as it starts to singe and burn away on his clothes and starts to burn into his flesh, you see that he's recoiling from all of this pain. Quickly rips the axe out of his arm. I have to open sheets because it closed them all down. That one.
I just realised you changed the armor colour.
Yeah. Fuck you, Connor.
Love you.
He is
Pissed.
slightly. He looks at you, Halfir, and with the mask still kind of like hanging slightly, you see as all of a sudden, as he's like trying to pop his arm back into place, he has this little smirk as the mask falls off of his face, and he disappears in a plume of smoke. Let me just... As
Okay,
he
he's
also...
still illuminated.
He is.
Fine.
As he misty steps as well. And as he steps over here, he looks back to all of you. When he arrives, you'll all die! He wipes a spat of blood off of his face and then starts running for the door. Quickly crashes through it. And as the door is pushed open, I don't know how many of you can actually see down there, but let me just check.
Yeah, I can.
Yes. Technically, you're the only one who really can, but for context, I think they can because of the lights. But
I'm probably the only one that has a line of sight on it.
yes.
I don't have line of sight.
As he comes crashing into the door and pushes it open, and he moves through, he looks up, and cinematically, he's smirking and drops quickly to a knee with his whole body battered and bruised. Master Bannon, we have adventurers. And before he gets his next sentence off, you just see as this body is suddenly blasted through the door by this mote of fire, and as he's scattered across the ground, his body is singed. The head lays rested against the cobble of the ground of the bridge, and then you hear, "Pathetic! You can't handle some rodents!" And he is going to join the initiative. And he got a shit initiative, which technically for this works. And he is going to move forward. And as he gets to this point, the door is about to close on him, but he very quickly pushes it with a brute force, and the door smashes against the side of the bridge, and one of its hinges comes loose. And as he looks forward, he looks at you, Halfir. I take it you're the one causing us trouble. Nice to meet you. I see you've experienced one of my pets. You'll join the collection. So, for the sake of a technicality, that will be his turn, but it will still be the ritualist's turn, because there's a bunch more of them behind him. They're going to move forward, Um, one of them is, after movement, going to cast Misty Step to get here. Another one directly behind Bannon is going to cast Hold Person on you.
On me?
Oh yes. Why did it show initiative? Why is it showing initiative for everybody? That's weird. Set that. Oh, you do succeed. Hell yes. So as you cast it on, you feel the magic trying to grasp around you, but with the deathly little motes covering every aspect around you.
Never mind, I've already used my reaction. Never mind.
Oh yeah. That's what you're going. Yeah. It seems to just fail to grasp. The other two directly behind, one of which will also try Misty Step, so 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 to here. And the one at the farthest back is going to cast a very fun one. Let me just see where I can get. He's going to cast here. I don't know if I've got anything for this, but it'll be fun to see. I think this is the closest that I have. Ignore what it looks like for now. So it is 5, 10, 15, 20. It's going to cast it right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeesh, what the hell is that?
Arms in the dark, probably.
For the token itself looks like a dark entity kind of thing, but he's casting Spike Growth.
Okay.
You little...
Yeah.
Ah, he took my turn from me.
You're welcome. So obviously that's now difficult terrain, and stepping over any piece of it is 2d4 piercing for each 5 feet increment.
The thing about spike growth too is you technically don't see it. But seeing him cast it, what I noticed is I'll do it on my turn. I'll make an Arcana check on turn.
Okay. You can do one now if you want. I'm very flexible with the rules.
Yes.
It's a bit like that.
See if I know
Nice.
he's casting.
So as you're watching, you see some of them blipping, phasing very quickly past. One of them tries to cast something on you. You can't see as he's currently behind Bannon. But the one directly behind that kind of maneuvers himself a little bit to have a better line of sight. And as he's making the motions and he flicks his wrist towards you, you notice as well that in his hand there's a series of small bones that he breaks as the spell finishes. You would know what he's casting. And you do feel something around you. I'd say for the sake of the specificity of it all, you don't know the full area that's been consumed, but you know spike growth has been made around you, so you assume he's done it optimally.
Yeah.
But that's their turns, and Bannon's already had his. So yours.
Well, we're gonna do the same thing.
Well, that's just rude.
Two can play at that.
Two
game.
can do that, motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm going to place it. I'm going to center it on the
Here you go.
dead body of the original guy.
I've given you
Hopefully
control
the other
of
crafting will come
that.
through.
Oh, actually, hold on, sorry. There you go. You have control of that one. Place it as you will. Nice.
Would you be able to move it to back for me because they are covering the other tokens? Thank you. That is my turn, unfortunately.
Okay. And nobody be scared when I say this, because it's not what you think. But at the end of your turn, Bannon, from where he is, raises up the gem slowly, and he speaks toward pretty much everyone really. You notice how his voice suddenly carries a lot stronger. It's very loud. It seems to bounce all across the cabin. Plessy, it's time to wake up, girl. Come for dinner. For the sake of context, he does say that in Ignan.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all.
But yeah, your turn runs over. Varnex, you guys notice as the waters suddenly become a little bit more violent and splash about. After you, Varnex.
Okay. Alright, if I spend a key point, how much can I move extra with if I use Step of the Wind?
It gives you the dash as a bonus action, right? Or
How much extra do I get with dash?
you get
At the moment,
whatever your base movement is again.
So,
Yeah,
so
so
it's
double your-
Yeah.
Alright, so I guess 80.
Just for later specificity, if you've already used movement, nothing is reduced. You get whatever your base movement is again.
Alright, so I can move quite far actually.
You're a monk, of course you fucking can.
The joys of monks.
From that point, you'd still have to drop down. Obviously, you've got the feather, blah blah blah, but just putting it out there.
So, would the 15 foot also count as like, would the 50 foot drop count as 50 foot of movement?
No, because you fall very rapidly, I'd say.
Alright, so I imagine,
And you're a monk, you'd probably leap, so...
yeah, so from here, I'll probably do like a jump, tuck and roll.
Mhm.
So, here, I'll do like, I jump and tuck and roll. Would I do a tuck and roll to try and negate damage, because it is a bit of a drop?
Do you have Featherfall or anything akin to it?
I am no magic.
No, but monks do get... they do get,
They get
something.
a feature. They get. I think it's
I don't
a
think they get
feature.
slow fall. I don't think they get it to
No.
like 4 or 5.
Yeah, 4th level, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
don't
right.
think I've got it at the moment, so no.
No, so you would take damage if you jumped, or if you came off of the side in any regards.
Could I try and do like a dex duck and roll or something to try and negate it?
You can make an acrobatics check. I will say it takes up another 5 feet of movement, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Acrobatics. I have proficiency.
How about that? Ooh,
Oh,
that's terrible.
bitch.
So,
There go my shins.
so as you hang off of the side, you leap to the other part of the rock there, and as you start to slide down, you get caught on something, and you start to fall face forward. You manage to spin and turn and stop yourself at the last moment, but you will take 1 point of damage because the intention was there.
Alright.
But you do make it there with a total of, I believe, currently 55 feet of movement.
55.
I
Alright,
believe.
so I'll probably move about up to here.
Mhm.
And I'd hold my action because I don't know who this person is, and I'll probably stick within my group.
Mhm.
So I'll hold my action in case anything comes with us, because at the moment I'd probably say I wouldn't know what all this is in front of me.
Technically, you can't see anything. There are what look to be little weeds along the ground, but beyond that, nothing really strikes your attention. That's just a terrible token for the job at hand.
Alright. So yeah, I'll hold my action, but I would have spent 1 key point to move a little bit extra further up, so
Mhm.
yeah, that's my turn.
Let me just double check I haven't got anything for that. No, I don't. Wow. Okay, fair enough. Cool. Sol.
Before we start to the next turn, I'd have my katana drawn.
Okay. Okay. Shing. Sol.
Buzzy?
Your turn.
Alright.
There you go.
Ah. Oh,
Don't mind me.
where's
Just
the
just carry on.
bush here?
Just carry on. Don't mind me.
Just carry on.
What?
Don't mind me. Just carry on. Accept it as it is. Carry on.
Okay.
I don't hear what you're doing, Muzzy. Come on. Chop chop. It's just a
Okay.
bush. It's fine.
It's just a bush.
It's just a bush.
Mm-hmm. That's what she said.
Giggity.
Hey, I got a bush now.
Mm.
That's what he said?
Mm.
Get your book.
Okay. Do. Yeah. Okay. Let me check something because. Da, 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 da. Mhm. Okay. Sure. Firebolt, wind spell. Yeah, let's see if I hit first. This guy. Right.
Which one? Sorry, I was.
This guy
Okay.
first. Let's see if I hit him.
First attack.
And wind spell.
Oh yeah,
Nope.
bitch. That hits, of course.
But why doesn't it show damage?
Click the. If you click the fire where it says fire bolt, don't click the spell description. Just click fire bolt.
There we go.
Okay.
Nice.
Fine.
Max damage.
Very nice.
Twin spell on
Oh.
Mm.
both of them.
So with twin spell, do you have to make a separate attack?
Oh, separate attack. Okay.
No, I'm
Another
asking.
one.
Does it specify?
I think you do. Technically, 2 separate spells.
Target significant range with the same spell. I'll say it would be in the case of this, at the very least.
Okay. So another one.
Damn!
Another one.
That hits, of course.
But why? It should be.
You talk about automatic. You could
It's
just
gonna be in your,
go into the cog.
yeah, it's
No,
in
I.
your character settings.
Yeah,
That's
maybe.
not auto roll damage.
The cog setting next to the spells on your character sheet. Click
Yeah, I'm there now. I'll just look for it.
and it auto roll damage. Well, auto damage roll.
Clicked it for you.
Okay, thanks.
I got you, boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Should be
I'm
fire-
going to move about here. That's it.
Okay. So you throw 2 firebolts out and both collide with the 2 teleporting bitches, and as they're smacked with it, they look over toward you. You see that they each slowly put their masks on. Carrick.
Alrighty. Let's see, what can I do here? Yeah, I'm gonna move 30 feet forward. Whilst I'm running forward, well, whilst I'm moving forward, I get out my other hand axe
Yeet.
and I'm going to throw it at that guy.
Okay.
Who I just want to measure quickly. And let's see, what's the range on there? Oh no, I got a roll disadvantage because 20 to 60 range. 20 being the normal range and then onwards being disadvantage. Right, here we go. Here I go, throwing hand axes again.
No.
Oh no.
Oof.
Can I use my inspiration to re-roll that?
You may indeed.
Because I'm not having a natural.
I will be cleansed. So 21. So as you're about to throw it, there's this, because of your earlier stretches, there's some part of your shoulder that just clicks and it puts you off for a second, but then you kind of muscle through it and just it goes flying and embeds a few inches into this guy's shoulder, and he recoils back. You hear him say something in, oh, you can speak Orc, so you hear him basically call you an asshole.
And I'll return in Orcish, saying, "Come at me. Come on then."
The grit and bare teeth. Though of course you can't see that. Is that you?
Yeah, I say that as I bare my teeth at them, saying it anyway.
Okay.
And that will be me.
So as your turn ends, the next creature in the initiative reveals itself,
You can stay back.
and it starts to
I can't even see it.
come toward 10, 15, 20.
What the heck is that?
It's a
Oh, Lord.
Plesiosaurus.
No, God. That's smaller than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's large, or at least in the context of what I've got here, anyway. So I will reveal all of the things. Save settings. If you would like to see, for starters, what Bannon looks like in all of his pictured glory, he is in Willow Plains, Tribes, the Arginum Horde, and then Southwestern Camp. As for the Plesiosaur, that's NPCs, Beast, Dinosaur, and, well, right there. It's a big old beautiful long-necked bitch, and as it beaches and starts to gently kind of slap itself closer to you all, it moves very slowly on land, and you see as it's moving towards you all, it looks very, very hungry, and there's little slaps of blood in around its mouth that haven't been washed away somehow, almost like it's very old dried blood. But that's its turn. So 5, 10, 15, he's going to get there. 5, 10, 15, he's going to get there. The ritualists. I'm going to do a check first. Okay. So as they get here, the one to the left at the bottom is going to cast Detect Magic. Making sure all my shit is in order. And then he is going to, as he casts Detect Magic, he looks around, looks at the ground, looks over toward each of you, and he starts speaking quietly in Orc, noticing now that one of you can understand them. And Bannon looks forward, and he starts to chuckle to himself. Is that really all you've got? Some weeds? Obviously on his turn he'll do something about it. But
Yeah, he's gonna dispel it.
the ritualist here holds his hand forward and is going to try and cast Hold Person on you again, Jeff.
I ain't moving anywhere anyway. I click that. It's just waiting. It's just taking a minute.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh yeah, you succeed. Like, with the spores around you, the deathly touched spores, nothing is getting through. You can barely feel any attempted hold over you. This one here is going to take a step forward, not really knowing any different. Roll me 2d4, please.
Yep. Oh, you
Ooh.
gotta be kidding me.
That's a shame. So as you start stepping forward, all of a sudden something pierces deep into his foot, and he grunts in pain, looks down, then looks up at you, And if it wasn't for the fact he's got the mask on, you would see the smirk of like, "Ah, oh, you fucking bitch. Countered me with my own spell." He then very quickly shouts back, and Connor, of course, you can hear it. You hear him tell them that he's cast Spike Growth beneath his feet. This one here, just as he's about to move, stops. And he's gonna push his hands together and start making symbols. And then, with his one free hand, his fingers start to contort and do something strange. He pulls out what looks to be the skull of a creature, and he smashes it against the mask that he's wearing. And then he throws his hand forward and is going to cast a fun spell called Eldritch Blast. Oh, with a 5 he absolutely misses.
Yep.
So he tries to fire it toward you. As it blasts forward, it just seems to slow down when it enters your field, and you very quickly just take a duck as it goes flying by. And that is them. So Bannon will take his turn. I am Bannon, the seeker of glorious artifacts. It seems like none of you carry anything worth my time. But I'll never know unless I get to rid it from your corpse, now will I? He aims this bright orange gem forward, and similar to what his picture has, he holds his hands free of the gem as it floats in between them, and you see his intent touches the area in front of his men, and it flickers out. You see as the weeds and the vines and the spikes suddenly corrode and die. Like I said. Now, if you wouldn't mind, men, get him! And as his bonus action, he commands them. So they can move up to half their movement speed forward. So 5, 10, 15, 5. Let me check
Yes,
some...
please step in your own spike growth.
I was going to say, yeah. Yeah, it comes different when a creature moves into blah blah blah. Cool. So they move forward. He's done a thing, he's done a thing, that's done a thing, that's done a thing. Cool. So they will get to the front of that, and you see as they start pulling out, the two at the front pull out smaller quarterstaffs, the two at the back pull out these what look to be like blowguns almost. And that is Bannon's turn, so he stays at the back. Alfia.
Alright. Well, I'm gonna grip my teeth and run out of the spike growth. Taking, what, 4d4?
So it's 5. Yeah. So. That's. Boop.
And using 20 feet of movement. Okay, cool. I still have my. So as I run through it, it kind of begins to strip off some of those spores that are around me, taking away those temporary hit points. I still have 1 temporary.
You have a couple of very fine spores floating around. that was a chop. That was a heck of a bork.
That was a shriek.
What's
That's
up?
from a horror game.
my wife just got home and my dog just
Exploded.
freaked out. Holy crap!
Your wife comes home and that's your first reaction.
Bork, bork, bork.
So that's 25 feet of movement. So I have 5 more feet. So I'll move over here, and then let's see. Let's do some measuring real quick. Okay. So I'll get all of them. All right. Now I'm gonna cast sleep right here. Right here. Hopefully, at least gets a couple of them. And a couple damage.
Let's see.
Using my symbiotic entity ability, not the +1 to Croc, just the 19. Gosh, that was 2 ones.
Ooh. So 19. How would you like to prioritize the sleep? I will say you know for a fact these two in the front are damaged. You don't know about the two at the back.
I mean sleep.
Total zombie creature 20 feet of a point you choose.
It prioritizes the lowest.
Ah, I
HP person.
see. True. My bad. Yeah. Okay, so you have a total of 19. Strap each point total creature point magic. Ah. So this guy here falls asleep. The other one is just a little bit more above the threshold remaining.
Okay, yeah, that's one less spell I have to worry about. So yeah, that's all I can do right now.
Okay. So as the area gets filled with more soporific, gentler versions of your spores, as they're preparing their weapons and looking for a way around, the one on the right suddenly just starts dancing left and right, and then his body just drops to the ground.
Actually, as my bonus action, I will. The spores will create a telepathic link between me and probably Carrick, the guy next to me. And I will tell you, you will hear in your mind to not attack the guy that's asleep. And that'll be me.
Okay.
Well, as you get next to me, I'm just going to look at you and be like, are you here scouting, or are you just here by a happy accident?
He's focused on the fight.
I sort of like side-eye him as I'm asking that, looking forward, and I just think, okay, no response, fine by me.
You guys hear in your minds from Sphinx as you initiate that link with Carrick. That's Bannon. Destroy the gem in his hand. At the very least, he won't have his power anymore. You'll defeat him much easier. And that's that. Varnix.
Alright, with this big creature in front of me,
Atlesia.
would I by looking at it, would I understand it's a creature of low intelligence like the kobolds?
Make a quick nature check. Okay. Generally speaking, dinosaurs are on the lower scale of intelligence. There will be some that have a degree of greater wisdom to overcome a poor intelligence, but this is definitely something in the lesser variety of intellectual creatures.
It's just hungry.
Yeah.
Alright, so I don't think I could trick this thing like I could with the kobolds, so I'll probably just I'll probably get up to here with my other companions, and again maybe hold my action again.
To attack anything that comes in range?
Yep.
Okay. Sol.
Okay. Well, this thing wants to eat me, right?
The plesiosaur, yes, probably.
Great. Hold on, I'm gonna move here. This guy's asleep, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna target those people first.
Okay.
Fireball. This guy. Yeah. Maybe something else. Hold on. Okay. Now what? I'm gonna do something else. I'm gonna do mind silver
Ooh, mind sliver.
level on
It's-
this one.
Yeah,
Oh, good target.
good,
Yes.
good,
Yeah.
very good choice. Hold on, I'll even,
On
for the sake of fun, I'll actually take it off of Whisper. So,
fuck.
boop,
It's okay.
there you go.
Nice.
Okay, it has a penalty to its next saving throw, so that's really nice.
Ooh,
Yeah. So I'm going to. Okay, so that's the
2.
minus.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, put that.
And I can't really cast anything else, I think. Action. Yeah, no,
Okay.
that's it.
Carrick, as
Ooh.
it's about to be your turn, there will be a legendary action. The hands. Have you ever seen the great hands? Because you're about to.
Oh, Lord.
A little terrifying.
Say hello to Bannon's hands.
I don't wanna.
They
That sounds
wanna,
like a terrible version of jazz
they
hands.
wanna grab ya. They won't get ya. So
Are you the one flipping them around, or are they doing that on? I know they're pulsing on there, but are they?
no,
flipping
I'm
themselves, or are
flipping
you-
them, just to
Oh,
freak you guys out a
okay.
bit. Ooh, which direction next? So as they're summoned these massive versions of Mage Hand, he's holding the gem up, floating between his hands still, and he's laughing to himself. And as he's drawing, you can see now that the power from the gem itself is not going through him. It's arcing outward and casting magic on his behalf. And as these hands appear, they are giant and spectral, but they are for the most part blocking vision of him. It is your turn though, Carrick, as he begins to say, "This is just a small bit of fun. It's what I use to steal more power from that little beast behind you. And I'm gonna take the rest of it when I'm done with you rodents. So sit back, die, and let me become the great being I was meant to be." Derek.
Yeah, just thinking about what I could do here. Oh no.
Oh no.
I think I have an idea of what I want to do, but whether it's a smart move or not is another thing entirely.
Mm-hmm.
This gap here, you see,
Mm-hmm.
if one was to make a bit of a running start, get to here, and to try and attempt to jump there, would it be possible?
You would have to make quite an either strength or acrobatics check.
Okay.
Although to be fair, it wouldn't be a very high DC whatsoever, technically speaking.
Yeah, so I'm going to do that then.
Cool. So you move
We're
10
going
feet.
to do here. Yep. And athletics, here we go.
Nice.
Wait, why am I still rolling disadvantage? I don't know.
Fuck knows. But you very quickly leap up over, though again I must specify, you don't technically know that's there, but we'll roll with it for...
Well, I was
You
wanting
mean
to
that you
just
at least
jump.
did see something
Hmm.
doing damage to me as I sprinted
He's just like,
out.
ow. But yeah, you managed to jump over.
Well, I mainly wanted to jump for flavour anyway. And If I was to make a melee attack on this guy, would I get the advantage?
I'm pretty sure because he's unconscious, you get crit.
Yeah, and if you hit with him being unconscious, it's an auto crit.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I would like to attack him with my short sword.
Okay. So again, it's an automatic crit, so you don't need to roll that damage again, but roll the damage again. Because of fun. So, as you leap over and you stand beside it for a moment, you don't even look at it, you just give a quick stab straight through the heart, and you barely hear a death cry. Just like... Is that you?
Let's see. Hold up. Wait a minute. Okay, fair enough. I'm going to... I've not used this in ages. And plus I've still got spare movement, because basically, one second, I need to do math, because things basically moved 10, then a total of 20, so I've got 10 movement speed left, so I'm going to walk over the corpse, use second wind, and make an additional attack on this guy.
Second one heals you.
Oh, yeah.
Action surge is what allows you to attack again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's the one.
So, are you
That's
using...
why I had action surge up as well.
I'm assuming you're using action surge.
Yes.
Okay. So...
I was reading that and I clicked the wrong thing.
That's fine. So, I assume you attack?
Yes. But I will get this up for the sake of making it official.
Okay.
And I shall short sword him.
That misses, which is a shame 'cause that's good damage, technically.
Very, very sad.
Okay. So you...
But yeah, that's gonna be me.
Okay. Time for the plesiosaur! Which doesn't know there's something on the ground! Yay!
That's kind of why I went over there.
5. 10. And then its entirety of 20. But the thing is, it's got a long neck.
10-foot reach.
Yep. So, Connor, you're getting a biggity bite. A 16 doesn't hit because you have shields and shit.
Yep.
So, as it's coming along, you hear the sound of it kind of wincing and making this very soft, pained sound, and its neck reaches out to try and snap toward you, and you very quickly, after striking the guy, trying to strike the guy in front of you, you hear the sound of it crying toward you. Throw your shield up and bash its face out of the way. Because it's only got one attack, that's its turn. So, the biggity boys, these big old hands are in the way, so I'm going to move. This one's going to come here. Actually, no, he's got a blow dart. What am I doing? The two at the back here are going to try and blow dart you. So,
Blow dart? Is that what you just said?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
It's not rolling for some reason. There we go. Okay, so that misses. That second one fucking hits. So a 13 and a 21 to hit. So 21.
21 hits.
You you take 6 piercing damage and make a Constitution save, please.
Actually, I just remembered something there.
Mm.
Wait, where is it? Oh no. 1 second, I just want to read something. Where the hell is it? Oh yeah, I put that on that. Because I think I have a thing. Lee, I think I forgot to do one thing on my sheet. You know the magic item I have?
Yes. Yes.
We agreed upon it had shield, right?
Hold on, let me find out. Yes. Twas.
Because I'm going to use that as a reaction. Use my magic ring.
Okay. So, as you block the plesiosaur and then quickly turn around, you hear the sounds of the first one you kind of just about dodge, the second one you haven't got the time to block, you grip your fist tight and this quick shield of energy it wraps around your form, which for the most part, what does it look like, Connor?
Looks like just a faded, bulky metal shield just wraps around me. Like a shimmered light, if you will.
And as the little blow dart's head reaches a few inches from you, the appearance of the shield becomes full for a moment, blocking vision, and blocks the dart. And then it disappears away, but you know it's still hovering for a moment. This one here is going to swing at you with his staff, to be frank. Quarterstaff. 17 doesn't hit.
Nope.
So come around to Bannon's turn. The hands are going to move on their own. The hands are actually going to quite literally just block any chance of you guys getting to Bannon. So they are see-through, but you notice they are getting in a position where they are quite literally hands, palms, like full fingers spread, everything, blocking the doorway. And Bannon takes a step forward. And he is going to... He is going to cast a firebolt at our dear boy, Carrick.
Okay.
So, right, has it passed correctly is the question. So, what do we do? That is not correct. It should be more than that, but it doesn't hit anyway. What is it? No, it doesn't. So, as he's conjuring more power, the simple mote of fire appears and blasts towards you. Still, with the shield up, it reappears, blocks the blast, and he looks at you and smiles for a moment. Wearing fancy jewellery, are we? I'll take it off of your body.
I'd like to see you try, mate.
Oh.
I'll rip your head from your shoulders.
I like it when they're feisty enough. He is going to move forward a bit more. 10, 15, 20, 25 for all of his movement. And he is going to action surge with the orb in front of him. Hi, bub. He makes it float behind him, and he pulls out from his back a great sword, and he's going to swing twice at you with it. So 1, 2, and neither are going to hit, especially with your current AC of 24. So 14 and then 11 total. Which, let me just check, it is good. You notice these strikes have a lot of heft behind them. If it wasn't for the fact your shield is enveloped around you at the moment, it might have fucking hurt. And as he swings, you hear almost the sound of heavy steel on plate as he smashes against your shield twice with extreme force. Oh, I'm going to enjoy stealing that.
Like I said, I'd like to see you try.
He smiles.
And I'm going to smirk back with with one eyebrow frowned down, one up, and with a bit of a crazy smile on his face.
Okay. As he finishes his attacks, that's his turn. And I think for now that'll be session, because I actually have to go make dinner. And it's nearly it's 10:15. Cool.
That's 10.
I'm going to go make dinner.
Yeah, that's quite late dinner, man.
Yeah.
I've been there, done that.
Right.
Time just escapes you, doesn't it?
No, yeah, no, it fucking does. Oh, before I do go, actually, the Sphinx will say something, as it's now back to your turn, Alfia. I can feel something on you. You've picked up the blue gem, didn't you? Use it.
That's what I was gonna do.
Hey, nice.
Eh,
For the sake of some context for you, the blue gem is a counter to the red.
Yeah.
it's like the blue and the red pill.
Yeah, boy.
The only thing that I was thinking coming up, I was like, what? I might have to actually attune to it. I don't know. So yeah, that was my only reservation.
I hope you're ready to either sacrifice a few spell slots or pour quite a bit of your own life force into it to use it. Because that's...
Oh, I don't have a problem pouring life force into it.
Yes.
I just want to say, Lee,
Mhm.
I've missed being a Faya.
I hit things. That's me.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute since I've been a martial class, because considering from what you said of me, I've been playing a lot of spellcasters.
I mean, Sorcerer in the other one. Couple of one-shots
Bard
and that.
Jeffs.
Yeah.
I've got a few of the one-shots of spellcasters as well.
Yeah, you're a bard for mine. But you're a very martial bard. You did quite a bit of.
Well, yeah, I made myself tanky, and plus we did need a somewhat evasive front line, considering what you've thrown at us.
Yeah.
We couldn't all afford to be ranged, because the ones that were ranged ended up dying.
Hey, I never used range. Get
Well,
it?
not you. I was talking about
because
Carl.
I died.
I was talking
Yeah.
about Carl.
Yeah.
Car died alone, bleeding out in a cell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good time.
Oof. That was brutal.
That
No,
one.
I died on the way to the
Yeah,
cell.
Did you die? Yeah, you did die on the way. That's
yeah.
right.
You died on the way.
Right, I'm gonna love you and leave you, gents. Feel free to keep talking.
Yeah.
If there's any questions, send them to me. I will probably reply tomorrow during work because I'm irresponsible. Good night.
Good night, Lee. Have a good evening.
And
Enjoy
you.
your food.
Bye.